Monte Carlo is one of the iconic images in all of sport. But in the last few years, it's been joined in the Street Circuit Club by the dazzling Grand Prix on the Las Vegas Strip, in Miami, Azerbaijan and others. And there's no sign of the trend slowing down. The streets of Madrid have also gotten involved, and there are conversations about Grand Prix in the capitals of Thailand and Rwanda. But fitting them in means we said goodbye to classic circuits like Hockenheim and Imola, angering fans who are still packing out the European tracks like Spa, the Hungaroring and Monza. And these generally produce more wheel-to-wheel action than street circuits too. At Silverstone in 2025, there were a total of 26 on-track overtakes. At Monaco, 4. I'm an F1 enthusiast. Even I struggle with that. But it appears to be a good step. In 2025, there was a record 2.3 million strong viewership for the Monaco Grand Prix in the US alone. Meanwhile, for the British Grand Prix several weeks later, 1.5 million tuned in. So why are we seeing this drive towards street circuits? Well, no prizes for guessing. Money. Formula One demands a fee of between $20 and $60 million for the rights to even hold an event. In total, including sponsorships, it's believed officials in Saudi Arabia pay almost $100 million for their race. The huge fees are possible because of the street track's city centre locations, as people staying at hotels at inflated prices and tourist sites brimming with visitors mean the cities rake the cash back in when the race comes to town. So it makes financial sense for Formula One and the cities, but will it cost the sport in the long run if F1 races are too boring? After all, nothing beats the roar of an F1 car as it flies through the forests of Europe, or mechanics watching a storm coming across the humid Asian countryside. Take that away and, well, you may as well just watch American IndyCar.
Good morning. Welcome along to Weekend Sports Breakfast. Good to have your company this Sunday morning. Katie Shanahan here, in for Shanahan, and with me is the former Chelsea and Republic of Ireland striker, Tony Cascarino.
Good morning.
Here's what's coming up on the show today. Anthony Joshua knocked out Christian Penga in the second round last night, setting up a potential showdown with Tyson Fury. Here's how it sounded on talkSPORT.
Craig is in trouble and he's gone down. Right hand puts Craig down and Joshua smiles as much as to say it was always going to happen.
Yeah, we'll look back on a big night of boxing. Gerwyn Price and Luke Littler saw off their Dutch opponents to set up a meeting in the World Match Play final. Paul Nicholson couldn't believe the machine that is Luke Littler.
His averages are more like IP addresses. He's not just averaging 100, he's so far above 100, he's on another level.
Well, the final will be live for you on talkSPORT 2 this evening, and England's Adam Ramsey-Peaty had to settle for bronze in the men's 100-metre breaststroke final at the Commonwealth Games. After the race, the three-time Olympic swimming champion was in a philosophical mood.
Right now, I'm like, there's not a decision that went wrong. There's not a thing that I could have done better. I absolutely worked every cell of my body into this meet.
There we go. We'll look back on all of last night's action on this morning show. And of course, we'd love to hear from you as well. So you can text me and Cass on 81089, or you can give us a call 03717 223344. This is Weekend Sports Breakfast here on talkSPORT. Cass, you're right. How was your day yesterday?
Yeah, great. I had, honestly, Kate, I had a great barbecue. My son's over from Singapore with his girlfriend, and we had sort of the last day there. We went round my sister's and had a barbecue. It was great fun. Got talking a lot, chatted, about the show yesterday. We were talking all about the show yesterday, and yeah. And
what came
no,
up?
just I'll tell you for why the question came, and it is a really it's an obvious one, but when the World Cup ends and there's seemingly not a lot to talk about, and you've got to do a show.
Yeah.
And I sort of said, well, yeah, a lot has ended because you could have the Open last week and you had the World Cup and it's all easy. You got games and all of this sort of stuff. I said, but you'd be amazed what comes up.
Oh,
you know, from the newspapers to, you know, stories that just, it's the end of Tour de France yesterday.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, today. It ends today. So I said, you know, I know we don't talk too much about that, but all things that you enjoy, there's always something to talk about.
And also there's the Commonwealth Games going
Exactly,
on.
that's
I'm really
Friday,
enjoying that. It's actually quite nice to do something completely different to football for a change, just to kind of give these sports their time in the sun. So talking about the Tour de France, you're a big fan, aren't you?
Yeah, and if I take you back, Katie, it was really weird. When we were doing pre-season training, when I first joined Marseille, we would end training an hour early before the final hour of the Tour de France because they always cycle sort of 4 o'clock time. So we would end early and out, and we'd go into the canteen. It'll be on every screen all around us. And the players would just sit there and watch it. And I think, what are they watching? Tour de France. You know, and I'd be sitting, can I go? And I wasn't allowed to go. You wasn't allowed to leave. You couldn't just go, oh, I'm off, I'm going. They'd want you to sit down, part of the French sort of code of you watch the Tour de France as it's on. And I got into it. Oh, wow. And also Paul Kimmage, who wrote my book, he was a Tour de France cyclist.
Oh, amazing.
So the combination there, and I got interested in it. And now I've become a big fan, and I do watch it. I catch up on the highlights. And by the way, it's been there's some headlines. Pogacar, the world's best athlete and teammate. That's by David Walsh in the Times.
Nice.
And it was a big day. Obviously, Pogacar's won now. This will be his 5th tour. It's been shortened, the final day today, because of the wildfires in France.
Right.
So they've shortened it. I think it's 89 or 88 kilometres instead of 133.
Oh, wow.
And you know, he wins, he's going to win. He's going to win his 5th tour. That means he's equal with Eddie Merckx, Bernardino. You know, Bernardino's an incredible legend like Merckx is. Miguel Indurain, I think, as well, has got 5. Obviously, Lance Armstrong, the disgraced Lance Armstrong, has lost his, but that's the record. So yeah, and also, and he done something. Why David used the word teammate? Why he's such a great teammate? Is that the stage yesterday? The white jerseys for the young rider, you know, the young rider award, the best youngster, and he was lying in 3rd place for that, and he wanted to get him on the podium, so he became a teammate and help him get to stay on the podium.
That is nice.
When he didn't try and win the stage, he ended up helping his teammate, which people look back and say, not only is he a great rider and he's done whatever he does in cycling, it's been incredible. He's helped his mate get on the podium. A young lad, 22 years old. His name, I didn't know until, but it's Isaac Del Toro.
There we go. One to watch.
I think he's a Mexican. Yeah. And that is why I've sort of got caught. It's an amazing sport.
It is amazing.
I tell you, it was really funny, Casey. When I first did them, we was in the Alsace area, and that's part of the tour. So sometimes the route goes wherever it goes. I remember being in a minibus and driving up an incline and thinking, cyclists are trying to go up this on a bike.
You're in a huge bus.
I'm leaning back like I'm looking up this incline, which is literally impossible in a minibus to get up.
It's probably harder in a minibus, to be fair.
Honestly. And I remember it like yesterday in Munster and Colmar, where there was all these areas that I went through. And amazing. It's amazing. As you see some of the routes they take and how these cyclists get up these climbs is just amazing.
Yeah. Well, it's got us thinking this morning, which sports have you got into unexpectedly, especially with the Commonwealth Games going on at the moment? You've got the lawn bowls, you know, similar to like the curling at the Winter Olympics. People love that, don't they? Is there a particular Olympic sport or Commonwealth Games sport that you simply cannot miss? Or did you start participating in a sport that got you hooked? So
that's a lot of paddle. Well, people are going to
paddle.
Yeah.
Yes, but that's that. But I wouldn't say that's very popular at the moment.
Whereas, for example, incredibly popular.
Very popular. I mean, one of my friends is actually a pro paddle player, but I got into handball. I ended up playing GB handball at university, which I soon found out
was big in France.
Big in France, and over out in. I remember we ended up going to a tournament in the Netherlands, and I realised I'm 5'5", and actually, if you're really tall, it's great if you're a handball. So I ended up bowling it through people's legs because I was so small. I had no chance of defending at all. That only lasted 6 months, and then I carried on playing England hockey. But it was one of those sports. My friend was like, "Can you just come and help out?" And I was at Loughborough, which is obviously a very sporty university, and then I ended up going along. They were like, "You're quite good. Yeah, do you want to come along to the Netherlands and compete in this tournament?"
Yeah.
And then we did all right. And then I came home and I was like, "Yeah, that's my little spell. That's done." So yeah, we'd love to hear from you this morning. What sports have you got into unexpectedly? 81089 or 03717223344. Right, moving on to football then. Arsenal are exploring a move to sign Vinicius Junior. Yes, this is if he doesn't extend his contract to Real Madrid. Vinny is into his last 12 months of his deal, and so far there has been no breakthrough. There have been no club-to-club talks just yet, but the idea has the approval at all levels within Arsenal. It's across a number of the back pages this morning. The Gunners have also tracked Bradley Barcola, Nico Williams, as well as Arteta looks to freshen up his attack. Where do you sit on Vinicius Junior? Do you think this would be a good signing for Arsenal if they get it over the line?
Well, it'd be amazing.
Yeah.
He's a hell of a talent. He's still 26 years old. He feels like he's been around forever, Vinicius Junior. He had a difficult period last season, sort of October to January, and things weren't quite going right in Real Madrid. Ended the season brilliantly. Loads of goals for Real Madrid and obviously internationally with Brazil. Unbelievable talent. He's very bad. I used to love the battles he had with Kyle Walker.
Yeah,
just magnificent. And watching the pair of them go, literally no one given an inch between the two of them. It would be an amazing coup. I find it very unlikely that it would happen.
Why?
Financially. But
Arsenal have been given the green light for 100 million.
Yeah. Well, the only issue I'd have with that is that Vinicius Junior, his wages plus all what Real Madrid would throw at him, because they obviously would want him to stay. I think last year El Hilal offered a billion over a 5-year contract, which is £2 million a week, basically, isn't it? It's a sort of.
But that's the Saudi league. I think it's different if we compare.
I know. But it's a very tough deal to get over the line on lots of perspectives, and especially wages, and you're going to have to change all your dynamics at Arsenal, because apparently these figures are always a bit screwed. But apparently he's on about 520 a week at Real Madrid. Well, that would immediately raise the bar at Arsenal by
all the other players would want more.
Well, that's one of the consequences of having one player on a sensational amount of money. Look. It can be done through sign-on fees and potentially other ways where you're going to have to literally break the bank to get him. If they'd done it, I'd go absolute fair play to Arsenal if they could get it over the line. I remember when Jurgen Klinsmann came to Spurs, and I remember thinking what a big signing that was. He actually really was desperate to go to Spurs. He wanted to go.
Well, that's the thing. If Vinicius Junior really wants to go to
Arsenal, that's your hope.
That actually could happen.
Yeah,
depends how much the player wants to go.
And also Arsenal winning the title, being the Premier League champions, it opens the door for them. But I will still be very shocked if Arsenal could get that over the line.
It would also be a big coup for the Premier League to have such a world-class player in the league.
Yeah, well, at his best, he's certainly that. And I thought he was easily Brazil's best player in the World Cup. Easily. And he looked hungry again. And they're 26. He's had periods and off the field issues, and things have happened in Spain, and he's had difficult moments. And when he's at his very best, he's definitely one of the best left wingers in world football.
And Arsenal need a left winger.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, so it's a great story. Whether it can pan out the way that Arsenal fans would be really excited about, he's a talent, a real talent.
How about the dressing room? Because Mikel Arteta has made a habit of ensuring there are no big-time personalities like in the dressing room. So do you think this would disrupt that at all?
Well, there's all of that at Real Madrid, isn't there?
Yeah.
They're characters, but they're also great players. If we look at Mbappe, he's a phenomenal player. And you could say that with Jude Bellingham.
They're all at Real Madrid. What about Arsenal, though?
Yeah, well, you're going for a Galactico player. Bring him into the dressing room. I didn't really ever see a problem with Vinicius Junior with his own team. I think there was lots of things of rival fans. Obviously, there's a lot going on with racism that happened in Spain. He wasn't happy about Spanish football, but I never saw any real issues with. Someone might tell me different, but I never saw that on the field with him. I think at times it was hard watching Mbappe, him, and others try and find a way. But when you're not winning at Real Madrid, everything's a problem.
Yeah,
it's just that type of club. So I think he'd be a good teammate. I thought he carried Brazil.
He certainly did. He scored 4 goals in his 5.
Yeah, he did, but he played really well as well.
Brazil, yeah, and certainly saved them at certain points. As an Arsenal fan, I would love to see Vinicius Junior come to the Premier League.
Yeah, exactly.
That would be brilliant. I was actually really sad when Trossard went, because he scored big goals in big games. Yeah. But I also
he's nowhere near the level of Vinicius Junior.
Oh, absolutely.
He's a great.
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm just saying is, I was like, thanks for your service.
You're upgrading, Katie, aren't you? You're trying to upgrade as a club. And that's what big clubs do when they show their muscle when they're winning.
They need to evolve. They've won the Premier League. They need to evolve and go again. And one way of doing that is go and get amazing talent in Vinny Junior. Right, what do you guys think? Get involved in the show. 03717223344. Do you welcome this potential move? I can imagine lots of Spurs fans listening this morning would be like, no, Vinicius Junior to Arsenal would not be amazing. Next up, we will be crossing to North London and discussing Tottenham, who have had a very busy window themselves so far. This is Weekend Sports Breakfast. Good to have your company. Katie and Cass with you here on talkSPORT.
I think United want to move on. He's obviously on a hefty wage. I'm amazed Saudi haven't come in. I'm amazed he hasn't gone out to Saudi.
I think he won it.
Again, Saudi pay a lot more than 300 grand a week for a player obviously who's playing for England and still in his prime. Yeah. I'm very surprised Barcelona didn't do the deal. But then again, I expected him to do well at Barcelona. Most, average wingers would do well out there, the team they have. I don't know where he goes. If you were a Spurs, would you go for him?
That's the one that keeps nagging away in the back of my mind.
We'll take him for a loan.
Yeah.
And if he plays 23 games, you know what I mean, we'll obviously pay this fee and that fee. What United are going to have to probably end up doing is recuperating as much of that fee back and all the loan fees they've had the last 2 seasons and the next 2 seasons. So I'm thinking Spurs. They've got a few more experienced Premier League players they've signed.
And De Zerbi's the type of manager that feels he can.
I'm not sure he
feels he can fix players.
I'm not sure he'd put up with.
Shall I wait for it?
Yeah, it's a classic.
This is such a good song. A very good morning. You are listening to Weekend Sports Breakfast with me, Katie Shanahan, alongside Tony Cascarino. What a song this is.
Yeah.
This is Satisfaction, of course, by the Rolling Stones. And we're playing this for one simple reason this morning.
Nick.
Yes, well done. It's the Stones' legendary frontman, It's Mick Jagger's 83rd birthday today. And any of your favourite tunes? This got to be right up.
I will Paint It Black. I would probably go the best one ever for me would You Can't Always Get What You Want.
Oh, okay.
I think that's a classic.
That is a classic. I really like this one. This might be my favourite.
Yeah.
Well, hot fire, because we've got a couple of big birthdays today, which we'll tell you a little bit later on. We'll kind of feed the songs throughout the show. But let's, as promised, discuss Spurs. Because as we know, they narrowly avoided relegation last season, only surviving thanks to a final day victory over Everton. That's consecutive 17th place finishes for Spurs, who seemed to have decided, enough is enough. They've spent big already this summer, especially in midfield. Midfield becoming a big theme this summer, like we were discussing yesterday, Cass, with 100 million invested in Sandro Tonali and 85 million on Manuel Fernandes. Plus, you've got the likes of Andy Robertson and Marcus Senesi, both joining on frees from Liverpool and Bournemouth, respectively. And now boss Roberto De Zerbi has laid down the law, suggesting that any player who doesn't want to be at Tottenham next season should leave.
So, love that line.
Yeah.
I love that line because if I ever had done management and I had players coming in and think the grass is greener elsewhere and I was just like, do you? Yeah, okay. Well, if the club can find a club, or if you can find a club and we accept the fee, you can go. I would never want to keep a player that didn't want to play for the team.
Also, that's just really difficult, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean it's hard to do that anyway because sometimes you're forced into different scenarios where players who really do feel like once they offers are coming in for them and they're doing brilliantly. But Tottenham's a great club. I've always defended Tottenham because I just feel like, yes, they failed miserably in some of their, efforts in trying to be not even close to... Well, we have to go back to Leicester, really, don't we, when they had a close or big opportunity of becoming champions of the Premier League back in 2016. It's a great club. I mean, going there to the stadium and the atmosphere, and I really enjoy it. And I think De Zerbi is a guy that at least he'll have a different direction for how he sees this club over the next few years. And he'll be bold. And that's what they've done. The first thing that the fans have been crying out for years, a really bold approach to a season. I mentioned Klinsmann. I went with my pals years and years ago to the first game that Ozzy Ardiles and Villa played. David Villa. Ricky Villa, sorry, not David. Ricky Villa. I went to the first game. It was Nottingham Forest away, and about 10,000 Tottenham fans went up to the City Ground, Forest away, and it was amazing. A World Cup winner they brought in. Let's remember that Ozzy Ardiles was a World Cup winner. Bringing them two in as winners, I think that was a massive statement at the time.
Yeah.
I think they're trying to do a rebuild that is going to. Obviously, 17th from mid-table or even 8th in the table is not an option for the football club now.
No. I mean, what should their expectations be for next
Top 4. It might seem a million miles away for a lot of fans, but it's got to be top 4. If you're investing that much, you've got to be that team that's going to be bold enough to break that mode of, Chelsea are going hard. There's Liverpool, there's Man City, there's Manchester United, Arsenal. You're really in that. If you're outside that top 4... It might be top 5 because, again... I
was going to say, maybe Europe.
Yeah, but definitely Champions League.
From 17th up to Europe would still be seen as a success.
Well, if they got to the Champions League, I think that would be seen as a successful season. And Spurs, have to play on the front foot. Their fans demand it.
Yeah. And also, De Zerbi seems like an attraction for players and also should fill the fans with confidence in the way that he wants to play and also bringing these new players in.
Yeah, well, he's brought in Tonali, he's brought in Fernandes, and there's more to come. I love the signing of Andy Robertson. I didn't want him to leave Liverpool. I still felt he had another year in him, or a year or two. And
but you can understand why he left, because he wasn't getting game time.
Well, yes, I don't mean I didn't want him to leave. I felt he still, for me, had a part to play at Anfield. Fair play to Spurs. They've managed to get a really good senior pro. Quite clearly is an absolute team player. And the standards will be driven up on the training ground. Because Andy Robertson's, I don't know him, but I've never heard a bad word about Andy, from any Liverpool players who have connections with up at Anfield. No, I think they've done some really great business. They absolutely, and I know it's forwards they're going to have to look at now, but they absolutely have to improve their forward line as well.
Well, I was going to say, where else do you think they need to strengthen? Forward line first?
The goals up front. Rick Charlison was their top goal scorer. I don't think you can trust him over a course of a season. He's good enough to be that type of player that will get you to Champions League football. I thought, when they have Mattis Tell, he can be an handful and he can shine every now and again, but not consistent enough. And they had others. I just think there needs to be more in forward areas for them.
They also need to look at how they've been getting so many injuries and how they can stop that happening this season.
Yeah. Well, again, that'll be looked at. I think it's a bit of a common theme now. I think a lot of clubs are having this issue because of the amount of games they're playing. Now they're having extra time, which is another 10 minutes on the game. If you look at the number, the datas, it's literally 10% increase on your efforts, your running, so yes, they can make substitutions and take them off early. Loads of managers that get caught up in this red zone of how much football players can play. I hope they don't lose Archie Gray.
I love Archie Gray, especially because he's also had to move all over the pitch, from centre back to right, left, and then into the midfield. Bearing in mind where he came from Leeds.
Yeah, he was the best player until De Zerbi came, because then he left him out immediately. And his reasons why were that he didn't he hadn't found a fixed position for himself, like a midfielder, a fullback, a centre half. He was doing all these roles. Selfless in many ways, but not had a fixed position. I didn't think De Zerbi liked that, but hopefully he can find a way, because I think he's a real talent. Bergvall could leave the football club, maybe, but I don't think Arsenal. I don't think Spurs should lose. For me, Archie Gray, I think, is still a real player in there.
Who do you see at the moment as the main contenders to Arsenal's title next year, Cass?
Man City,
not Liverpool under Iraola.
I really wanted him to go. I wanted Andoli out. I really did. I think I just love what his football produces, and it's exciting again at Anfield. It feels like that way, but I still think Man City will be the main challengers, because although Pep Guardiola's gone, their ability to buy players and have so much strength in positions.
And you feel as though Ryan Cherky's still going to have an amazing season.
They could lose Rodri, but they still got lots of others. The fact that Elliot Anderson's come in, that City have a real muscle in the game. They really do.
And which clubs do you fear for in the race for the Champions League? I mean, it might, like you say, go down to 5. If I were to ask you now, who's your top 5 going for Champions League? What would you say?
I really don't know. Look, Chelsea are doing things now that we all were calling upon. It feels like the top 6, the normal or the big 6, because Tottenham haven't been in that top 6. But it feels like the clubs that are generated by so much revenue have way more power this year. It feels like they've all gone hard so far. And I know Arsenal, but Arsenal, by the time the season starts, Arsenal are going to have done a good bit of business. Picking the odd one out, who will come 6 out of that one? Not sure. I'd be just picking one for picking one's sake, and I'm just not sure yet.
Yeah.
Have you
it's
said
exciting,
to me,
though. It's
at the end of the window and just the week before the start of the season, right, nail it now?
Well, let's do that then. When we're a little bit closer, and you can have a little bit more time to think about
don't know. I just don't know.
Yeah. Well, we need more business being done, and then we can have a bit more of an idea about
Manchester United
squads.
will do more, that's for sure, and Arsenal will.
Yeah. So Spurs fans, how are you feeling about the upcoming season? What will your expectations be? Where do you want to finish? What are the targets? 03717223344. Do you agree with Cass? 81089 is also the number to text. This is Weekend Sports Breakfast with Katie and Cass here on talkSPORT. Up next, we're going to look ahead to today's Hungarian Grand Prix. And in the next hour, South American football expert John Cotterill will join us to discuss the rumours about the future of Vinny Jr. Good morning.
Something about Tottenham here. It's a big conversation because obviously it's about trophy wins, European Cups, all of those sort of things come into it. But in the modern world, it also comes down to support base. Money is so much involved, and Spurs are a big club, full stop. Of course, we're above someone like West Ham. We have got more support.
He had you above West Ham
globally. Well, I know, but he was almost fighting with that. You could also look at a support point of view globally.
morning. You are listening to Weekend Sports Breakfast live on YouTube and on your smart TV. Good to have your company this morning. Katie Shanahan alongside Tony Cascarino. Here are some of the headlines you're waking up to this Sunday morning. Anthony Joshua recovered from 2 knockdowns, including one just after 20 seconds to stop Christian Prenga in the second round of his comeback fight in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. Adam Ramsey-Peaty fought back tears after claiming bronze in the 100-metre breaststroke at the Commonwealth Games. Defending champion Luke Littler cruised into the World Matchplay final with a 17-5 thrashing of unseeded Dirk van Dijvenbode in Blackpool. And the Commonwealth Games got underway on Thursday with plenty of exciting action and memorable moments already taking place. Here's Michael Waydock giving us a roundup of the event so far.
The island of Jersey won their first Commonwealth Games medal in 36 years. A silver for Filip Nowacki in the men's 100 metres breaststroke swimming final. Nowacki edged out the 3-time Olympic champion Adam Ramsey-Peaty in a thrilling final length that saw him overtake the Team England swimmer. The 18-year-old finished 0.17 seconds behind Australia's Sam Williamson. Nowacki and Ramsey-Peaty will compete against each other again in the 50 metres breaststroke, which begins later today. Nowacki is only the 5th person ever from Jersey to win a Commonwealth Games medal whilst representing the island. There was also success in the pool for Team England, with gold medals for para-swimmers Georgia Sheffield and Will Ellard. Both set Games records. At the gymnastics, Team England secured bronze, beating Team Wales by just 0.9 points in an exciting contest. It all came down to the final apparatus, with world floor bronze medalist Abby Martin topping the standings with her routine to overtake the Welsh team. Canada won silver and Australia won gold. Bad news for the organisers of Glasgow 2026. The foot injury sustained by Eilish McColgan in the London Marathon has ruled the Team Scotland athlete out of the Games and means she won't be able to defend her 10,000 metres title won in Birmingham in 2022.
Thanks very much, Michael. We'll have more live coverage from the Commonwealth Games on talkSPORT from 7 p.m. tonight. Cass, I've been really enjoying watching the Commonwealth Games.
Yeah.
And I just love that you can just keep across so many different sports, so many different stories, and so much is happening every single day. So going to really enjoy watching that throughout the day and then listening to it on talkSPORT tonight. Now, earlier on, we asked what niche sports you're getting into and why you got into them. Cass was telling us that you've been following the Tour de France, which reaches its final day today, heading into Paris. That was during your playing days with Marseille in France, and lots of people have been getting in touch this morning. Also, thank you so much for all your lovely messages. Kenny in Edinburgh, thank you very much for your lovely message. Barry as well, and this top one from Richard in Sheffield. It says, morning guys, from being a young man I was a massive football fan. I sold matchday programmes at Sheffield United for 22 years. Wow. Missing 12 home games in all those years. Then back in 2014 I watched my first professional ice hockey game. That year, I stopped going to the lane and got a season ticket to Sheffield Steelers. We're now planning on our 8th trip to Las Vegas to see our 13th and 14th Vegas Golden Knights game in the NHL. Best move I ever made. Thank you so much, Richard. That's a lovely text.
Yeah.
It just goes to show about how you can get into other sports. Do you like your ice hockey? Now, I went to see ice hockey very recently down in Streatham Seahawks, and I absolutely loved it. It was packed. It's definitely a growing sport over here, obviously massive in America, but yeah, ice hockey.
I've never been to obviously an ice hockey match, never been there.
Oh, well, I'll take you down to Streatham.
I've been to Streatham as a kid. Yeah, because it wasn't that too far from me on the ice game. I am seriously Bambi on ice.
Are you?
I'm not going to lie. Absolutely hopeless.
That's hilarious. But, I can imagine that.
Yeah. But no, I've never been to an ice hockey match.
Okay.
I've seen basketball in America.
Oh, well, maybe we get tickets and go along to the local ice hockey rink. Now, Lando Norris will be on pole position for today's Hungarian Grand Prix. Last year's world champion finished ahead of fellow Brit Lewis Hamilton and championship leader Kimi Antonelli, though both were later given 3-place grid penalties. So to tell us what happened, we can say a very good morning to talkSPORT's motor racing correspondent, John Jackson. Morning, John.
Hi, John.
Morning. How are we doing?
Yeah,
very well, thank you. Very well this Sunday morning. So just fill us in on what happened, and does it come as a surprise to have a McLaren on pole after Mercedes dominance?
Well, McLaren are using the Mercedes engine, and obviously Mercedes have been the team to beat this season. So I think it's a surprise that they're starting 6th and 7th. Maybe a slight surprise that Lando Norris is on pole position, but he's been knocking on the door recently. We were expecting Mercedes and Ferrari to be the two teams to be at the front. And I think Ferrari are probably the team that are the most disappointed because they had a really good chance of getting a 1-2. Lewis Hamilton, for a lot of the session in qualifying, was fastest, but then Lando put in that incredible lap. And then Lewis got a penalty afterwards after he blocked Lando's teammate Oscar Piastri. So Lewis has been demoted 3 places to start 5th. So there is a Ferrari on the front row in Charles Leclerc, but it will be fascinating to see how long it takes those Mercedes cars from 6th and 7th to make their way up, I would imagine, because it's still the strongest engine, I would say. Well, the strongest package. Technically, Red Bull have the strongest engine, but that's a whole other conversation.
Now, regulations are always, in motor racing, and you look at it and sometimes think, how much does it affect a driver? But if you look at Lando Norris, he's got nowhere near the form of the year before, has he?
No, not at all. And then you look at Lewis Hamilton, who really struggled last year in his first year with Ferrari, and this new car with the slightly different power deployment and completely different design has really suited him. So he struggled last year. Now he's doing well. Lando, a bit off the pace, and it's probably not Lando's fault in this instance. It's just that McLaren are a little bit behind in development compared to Ferrari and especially Mercedes. But to be the world champion in the final year of those regulations, knowing that if he had 3 or 4 more years of those regulations, he could probably do what Max Verstappen did and put 4 together in a row. Unfortunately for Lando, obviously he's won that championship, and then the new cars come along and he's had to get used to a whole new car. But you know what? These teams put a lot of money and a lot of research into these cars, and it won't be long before McLaren are challenging again. Although I think later today, I do think Lando will struggle to convert that pole position into a win.
And so just remind the listeners, why did Hamilton and Antonelli receive penalties?
Yeah, so Hamilton at the end of the qualifying session was deemed to have blocked Oscar Piastri, which is this all reviewed by the stewards, and he got his 3-place penalty for that. I think when he did the post-race interview, I think he kind of knew that was coming. And as for Antonelli, Max Verstappen spun again in qualifying, which again, very uncharacteristic of Max Verstappen. He spun in the qualifying session, so the yellow flags came out, and Kimi Antonelli was adjudged to have not slowed down sufficiently. And they look at all the data in the cars as well as the TV footage, and unfortunately the telemetry doesn't lie, so he got that penalty as well. So he'll start 7th, which I think is fascinating actually. So to watch the battle not only between him and his teammate George Russell, 1 place ahead, but also to see if Kimi can make it to the front and make it another win before the summer break kicks in.
Any other interesting stories from qualifying yesterday, John?
Not from qualifying. There's bigger picture stories when it comes to Formula One. We are expecting an announcement today, and I've heard it from several reputable motorsports journalists that I'm here in Tokyo with, that there will be an announcement that the Malaysian Grand Prix will return this year. It will be in place of one of the races that was cancelled earlier this year. They were looking at putting Bahrain back onto the grid in October, but unfortunately, things are still a little bit unsure in the Middle East, and Malaysia is a track that's not been raced at for quite a long time. And because of where it is, it's in between Baku and Singapore, this gap, it's seen as a perfect place for Formula One to add another race because they need to sort of replace those races that were cancelled. So yeah, that looks like that'll be announced, and that'll be the weekend of October the 2nd to the 4th. So away from qualifying, that's the big story to look out for today.
And as for Formula E, John, there are races in Tokyo, I believe, this weekend. So what can you tell us about them?
Yeah, I'm here in Tokyo right now. We had 1 race yesterday and 1 race today. This is the electric version of Formula One, basically, if you've never heard of it or you've vaguely heard of it. We race generally on street tracks, and we're here in the sort of industrial part of Tokyo where the street track is based. And yesterday we had a race that was very controversial. There was a British 1-2, which is always a good thing. One guy called Jake Dennis put it on pole position, and the guy behind him, Dan Ticktum, who's a bit of a bad boy in the world of motorsports, or he's perceived to be anyway.
Oh, yeah.
He kind of promised that I'm not gonna challenge Jake. I know that I probably can't challenge this guy for the win, but we're clearly faster than the other 2 guys that were behind. So just can someone let him know that I won't overtake him? And then obviously what happens on the last lap? the guy in the lead loses power because they only have a certain amount of power, these electric cars, and that's half the job, is to manage your power. He had a bit of a power cut because he was so low on energy, and then the guy in second, Dan Ticktum, overtook him and took the race win, but he kind of looked like the bad boy that had lied the whole time and then pulled the ultimate bluff. But unfortunately, it was a bit more of a car thing. But yeah, great to have a British one too. And we've got the second race coming up this weekend. It's been hammering it down in the last hour or two. Proper thunderstorm here in Tokyo. So, I mean, it's going to be fascinating. When you add a bit of water into the mix with any kind of motor racing, it's always good. So that's coming up on talkSPORT 2 from 11:30 a.m. today.
John, not so long ago, we used to work together. Now I'm hearing you're in Tokyo. You're jet setting everywhere.
And he's
how did you get this gig?
I went to the bosses and I said, look, Tony Cascarino keeps telling me all these stories about when he was in Marseille and he's doing all these fun things. Can you please send me somewhere else? And then since then, for the last 4 years, they've just sent me around the world, which I'm not complaining about, but I have to say, like, you don't see the unglamorous side of things, which involves sitting in airports while flights are delayed for many hours. So yeah, sorry about that, Cass. It was all down to you, but thanks for the boost to my career.
No, I'd love to go to Japan one day, especially Tokyo.
I've never been.
Don't go in July, honestly. 35 degrees. No, honestly, I'm not joking. 35 degrees, 80% humidity, thunderstorms every afternoon, and it's go in like the cherry blossom season in March or April. It's much nicer.
Yeah. And I believe you're a Forest fan as well. So how are you feeling about the upcoming season?
I'm very positive. I would like us to sign a striker. I feel like, we're looking good in midfield. It looks like they're going to add some defensive options, but I'm still not convinced that Chris Wood is up to playing a full season with his knee injury. Taiwo Awoniyi's good for a goal when we need it, but he's not a consistent performer, really. If we could get a striker and maybe a wing back, I think we'll be good. But Elliot Anderson is obviously a huge miss for us. So he'll no doubt come to the City Ground with Manchester City and put on a blazing performance. But he's one of those that's left and when none of us hate him,
that's pretty good going to be fair.
As a professional. I think we'll be okay. I'm not saying we're going to get in Europe, but I don't think we'll be as bad as we were last season, which was terrible.
Yeah, maybe a bit more consistent and less turbulence. How are you feeling about, Oliver Glasner and his upcoming campaign?
Yeah, I like it. I know that our boss has paid a lot of money to have him there, but I think it's the first time since Forest got back into the Premier League that we've had an elite manager. I think he probably had options elsewhere that fell through. That's why we got the opportunity to get him. I'm not going to lie about that, but we have a man with a very defined system, and I think the stability is what we need, having had 5 managers now in the last 12 months, which is ridiculous, and somehow we managed to survive. So it's been a whirlwind. I really enjoyed going to the European games last year, but now that's not happening. We don't have European football. I think we can probably focus on trying to get an identity and hopefully do well in the Premier League.
Yeah, well, best of luck, and hopefully, a bit more stability at Nottingham Forest. I think everyone would appreciate. And enjoy Tokyo. That's very fun. And best of luck with all the upcoming coverage. Thank you so much for coming on the programme. Great to have you on, John Jackson there, talkSPORT's motor racing correspondent out there in Tokyo for us. Right, we're going to have updates of the Hungarian Grand Prix. That's from 2 p.m. this afternoon with Tom Clayton. Next up, we're going to have a look at this morning's back pages, and you're listening to Weekend Sports Breakfast with Katie and Cass here. A very good morning. You're listening to Weekend Breakfast with me, Katie Shanahan, alongside Tony Cascarino. Back pages are on the way next, so stay with us. But it's going to be a very busy day here on talkSPORT. At 9 a.m, you've got Sunday Edition with Sean Custis and Henry Winter. They'll be here very shortly. The warm-up then follows at 11 a.m. with Sam Ellard and Mike McLean. Then the Sunday Session at 1 p.m. is with Hugh Woozencroft and Mickey Gray before kick-off with Majestic and Alan Pardew. That's at 4 p.m. And at 7 p.m, our Commonwealth Games coverage continues with Natalie Sawyer and the team bringing you all the latest from Glasgow. While over on talkSPORT 2, you've got the final of the World Match Play Darts between Luke Littler and Gerwyn Price. That's at Winter Gardens in Blackpool. I mean, what an action-packed day of sport. Just keep it here on talkSPORT and we will have you covered. Right, as promised, it's time to take a look at the back pages now. Sam Stevens is here.
Oh, Sam, you know where I am.
I can never look at you seriously when this song is playing.
One never tires of this song.
Maybe you should
We're
sing
all
it.
in blue.
We're the Navy team today.
We are. Does that mean we're representing Oxford or Cambridge? It's a boat race reference. Isn't it? It's the dark blues. I can never remember. Have you ever covered the boat race, Casey? I feel like it's one of those sports you would have dipped your toe into at some point.
Casually, yes.
Casually, yeah.
Which is a no.
That's one of those. That's one of those. I feel like that somebody would text in and say that they're a fan of. You know, they got themselves into the boat race by somehow, watching it over the years or something like that.
Yes, I do like the boat race.
I would say, ice hockey's a good shout, by the way. I got into that for a little while. I tell you what, now that I've been, and I know that this is a bit of a harping back to the American thing, but I think I might start following baseball, And it's probably
cool.
more of a fun sport to watch live, I think, than it is on TV. But as in, like, at the ground rather.
Did you go in America?
Yeah, I did. I went twice.
Which game
went
did you
to see
go
the Philip.
How long were the games?
They're about 3.5 hours. People always say, "Oh, they're interminably long." They're not actually that long.
There's a lot of entertainment going on.
There's a lot. You can't. You've got.
Did you get a T-shirt from one of those firing guns?
There's the guns.
I nearly did.
There's
the lady in front of me got it. I was devastated.
Oh, really? That is devastating. You didn't get to catch a baseball either. That's the other thing, isn't it? You take home as a souvenir, but you can get plenty in the club shop. They're about 3.5 hours, but there's so much entertainment. Like you say, there's you've got someone coming on singing some kind of local song. There'll be someone coming around with beers. You can go and get ice cream. There's the club shop. There's even more people on the concourse than there was in the stand half the time. It's unbelievable with baseball. It's a bit like cricket, I think. You'd have to watch like every ball.
Was it full, the stadiums you went?
No, it was about half full. But then they play 160 games a season, of which I think 80 are at home. So it means no wonder if it's not going to be full every week, if your team's struggling a little bit.
I did really enjoy watching the baseball.
It's good fun,
very, very. I watched it in Toronto. It was very,
Did you?
Yeah.
The Blue Jays.
The Blue Jays up against New York Yankees. That was very cool.
Yeah, that is cool. Very, very cool.
Yeah.
So that's I would say is the new one.
What about lacrosse? We just had a text here. Good morning, Lee. He goes, I represented my country 9 times in lacrosse.
Wow.
After being introduced to pop lacrosse in primary school. Have you ever played lacrosse?
Never. I never had the opportunity.
No.
Neither.
At school, we played the basic sports like rugby, football, hockey,
cricket,
athletics, cricket, bit of cricket. Yeah. Did you? Is that what you did? What did you
yes.
play?
We didn't.
I played cricket. The only famous thing I did at school, I got sent off in a cricket match.
How'd you get sent off in a cricket?
Apparently, you couldn't get sent off, but I was told to leave the field.
Oh, you're a disgrace.
What were you doing?
Well, no, I bowled a ball and I shouted LBW, and the umpires absolutely no. And I didn't really know what LBW really was. Whether I knew the line and the wicket and all this, but I argued back, and the umpire, who was a teacher at the school, said to me, "Leave the field."
Oh wow! Did you swear at him or anything? Was it?
No, I didn't swear.
Okay,
I just
threw a tantrum.
He really knew that I absolutely didn't know what I was going on about.
Oh, you won't be welcomed at the MCC with attitude like that, Cass, I tell you.
Basically, your teacher got annoyed at you and went, "Just go away."
And get off the field. Leave the field.
So you thought your foul mouth was more suited to football, did you?
Yeah. Well, I didn't swear at him. I just argued the fact that I thought it was LBW, and
even though you had no idea what you're talking about.
And he was from Yorkshire, and he was absolutely a cricket man.
Oh right, yeah.
So he knew, and I didn't.
To be fair, I think if I was in his shoes, I would have sent you up. I'd be like, you know what? This is just too much. Go over there.
That's very good. Now, let's have a look at the paper, shall we? Because there's lots going on this morning. And mostly a lot of sort of transfer speculation, as you can imagine. Lots of Vinicius Junior talk. We spoke about that, didn't we, in the first section? Plenty of Spurs as well. The Vinny Junior story seems to be rumbling on. You're not convinced by it, Cass, are you? But I know that there's always a lot of speculation and rumour and innuendo at this time of the season, but it seems to be making a few waves on the back pages.
Yeah, look, if Arsenal got that over the line, it would be a massive coup. It really would. Even sometimes we we get surprised, and there's no need to because the Premier League has so much muscle and money. But that taking a player from Real Madrid at 26 years old, he's still got a lot of football in him. And as we saw with Brazil, and Vinicius Junior at his very best is up there with the very best left.
He has been there for a long time, though, hasn't he? Been there for like 8 years.
Yeah, but when Madrid is, that old saying of you leave Madrid, or Barca, you're practically going downwards, which isn't really the case because Arsenal are the Premier League champions. But it's still an amazing one to get over the line if they could do it.
Yeah,
financially, I just don't know how you do it. Everything would change. The dynamics of the highest wages at Arsenal, and would he be a one-off that you could just go? If he was delivering, players would accept it. Do you know what I mean? If he was on a huge wage and delivering, he was ultimately the difference of them winning the Champions League, players would be okay with that.
Well, we've just had this text in from Darren. Good morning, Darren. Thanks for your lovely message. He goes, Vinicius Junior going to Arsenal would basically bankrupt Arsenal and probably the league because it would increase every club's wages and bankrupt smaller clubs.
There would be a knock-on effect, definitely.
There would be a knock-on effect. Yeah, thank you, Darren.
Yeah, interesting point. Let's go a little bit further down the leagues now, shall we? We spoke about this story yesterday, but you pointed out this latest development, Cass, about Jermaine Defoe's exit from Woking.
Yeah.
A bit of row has erupted over his sudden departure after the National League Club's director of football accused the former England international of failing to fulfil squad reports or attend staff meetings. Defoe walked out on the club last week after just 4 months in charge, having taken his first managerial role. The former West Ham, Spurs, etc. striker did not give a reason for his abrupt resignation, but did say it had been an eye-opening managerial experience. However, Defoe's conduct has now been criticised by Jody Brown, Working's director of football, who said that he had heavily influenced player recruitment, failed to deliver a squad report despite being repeatedly asked, and did not show up to a senior staff meeting that preempted his departure. I heard John Couch from the non-league paper, who's always very good on these matters, talking yesterday on talkSPORT and effectively saying, this is why you should appoint managers who understand the level of the National League and below. Do you think there's an element of truth to that?
I wouldn't be amazed if he's made that statement and it's not true. I mean look, I don't know. We don't know. So far, it's Jermaine Defoe's reasons are it's an impossible job, and we've had this guy come in and say, well, he wasn't in part of any meetings that we'd already set up to talk about the recruitment, where we're going forward, and so I can't believe he would just come out and just say that.
I mean, more broadly though, do you think that managers, that you should be looking at managers who've kind of got experience at that level rather than trying to get somebody
if you haven't,
as a novice,
make sure you have got someone around you that has.
Yeah.
Okay, of that level. I think that's a really important point, whether it's League One, League Two, or Conference, is that the people who you're working with, even if it's recruitment, all know that inside out, that level.
And do you think that Jermaine Defoe has now done his future career aspirations some serious harm with this?
I don't know yet. I mean, Jermaine might respond to that, that comment, or, it's quite a criticism to say, isn't it? Like, well, he didn't even take part. He didn't even turn up in certain meetings.
Yeah, which is
a big
damning indictment, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a bit damning,
yeah, absolutely. And I'm also in the Telegraph this morning. Lots of good stuff. As there always is in there. Pull out. How confident Bruno will not try to force departure. I didn't necessarily want to focus on the Bruno Guimaraes angle of this because we did it yesterday, and we'll speak to John Cottrell, our South American football expert, about it in a minute. But I just want to know what you think about Eddie Howe, Cass, because there's been a lot of talk about what next for him. Is he going to kind of carry on? There was the possibility that people flirting with the idea that maybe that the two parties had sort of run its course now, Howe and Newcastle together. But do you fear a little bit that if they keep selling players from under his nose, or even with his, nothing can really do about it, not that saying his approval, but if he's sort of forced to sell, that could be sort of damaging for Eddie Howe and his legacy at Newcastle.
But Eddie's been involved in football a hell of a long time now as a manager and done very, very well with Bournemouth and likewise Newcastle. And I don't believe Eddie, if he thought the job was impossible, look, there's meetings, we just talked about Jermaine Defoe, meetings that go on that we're totally unaware of and what's been said in them meetings of what is the idea of Newcastle moving forward. And obviously Eddie's on board. So he's quite comfortable at the moment. Now, that may change if he doesn't get certain things that he will require as a manager to have success. He can't go back to Newcastle when he first joined, where they were literally fighting relegation.
Yeah.
He knows that. They were poor last year. I watched Newcastle about 4 times live, and I'd come away and say they'd lost their edge slightly, Newcastle. And they had a lot of change this time last summer. So, you could give him the benefit of doubt. Eddie's a good manager. I really like Eddie. I think he's done a great job, Bournemouth and Newcastle, and he knows it's tricky. He's got battles on.
How do you rate his time at Newcastle, Casey? Eddie Howe?
I think really good so far. However, it will be interesting to see how they manage this. There's been so many players that are potentially going to leave, or how he has to kind of rebuild once again. So, yeah, let's see what happens this season. But you want him to be backed, really, don't you?
Yeah.
And then you can see, how he progresses.
I'd like to see him as a possible successor to Thomas Tuchel one day. That's what I'd like to see Eddie Howe, if things don't work out for him at Newcastle, or even if they do, to be honest, because I think he's an excellent manager.
He would be a brilliant England manager, you would think. Okay, thank you, Sam. For now, coming up, we'll head over to South America to check in on a couple of Brazilians, as we've been hearing, including Vinicius Jr. Could he be on his way to Arsenal? More on that next. This is Weekend Sports Breakfast with Katie and Cass this morning. Good to have your company. You're listening to talkSPORT.
Chelsea can't win a league.
If Arsenal don't win it, I think Chelsea, with Xabi Alonso,
No.
Chelsea need to be one of the teams dreaming. One of the teams. Look, a front line of Pedro, Esteval, Palmer, Rodgers is capable of scoring enough goals to win a league. If we now bring in Lacroix, bring in John Stones, sign a new goalkeeper, all of a sudden you're looking at a team with one game to play a week. You're looking at a team that could potentially win a league title.
Mate, you're talking guff.
No, that's not. That's
You're not
very
winning.
rational chap.
Rory, you're not winning the league.
We are unlikely to win it, but we are one of the 5 teams that can legitimately be considered capable of winning it.
No, you're not.
We are 100%.
No, you're not.
No, you're just a biased Tottenham fan.
No, you are not in the conversation to win the league.
We are.
You are. Let's get Champions League. That's your aim.
That's the primary aim because.
What do you get when some of the most individual sports stars club together? Well, a melting pot of history, tension, rivalry, friendship, and elite stories. Here are some of the best off-camera anecdotes from the Ryder Cup. Number 1, Tiger's loo roll. The protagonist, Lee Westwood's former caddy, Billy Foster, said in a toilet cubicle at the Belfry. As he went to relieve his first morning nerves, Foster noticed only one of the 2 cubicles had loo roll, and while he was seated, in came a tiger into the empty cubicle, and he realised his mistake all too late. So Foster took some paper, reached under the cubicle with a rescue offering, and as Tiger went to take it, Foster uttered the words, "Europe, 1 up." As it happened, Europe did go on to win. Fast forward 10 years to the miraculous Medina, when, after a gruelling Saturday, Rory McIlroy overslept on the Sunday and was in danger of missing his tee time. Thankfully for him, the person booking player transport was Erica Stoll. She sorted him a police escort to the course. 3 years later, McIlroy proposed in Paris. The next story is told by Scottish legend Sam Torrance about the great Seve, who apparently despised the Americans mainly because of a diminutive US reporter who kept calling him Steve.
Hey, my name is Severiano or Seve. It's no Steve, it's no Steve. Next day, Steve.
Torrance also tells of how Seve regularly gave coaching clinics to his European teammates, but a week later at the Italian Open, when the same players asked for advice, Seve would tell them to and see you next year. Having started with a Billy Foster story, let's finish with one from the 12th tee at Oakland Hills in 2004. It was Jimenez and Garcia against Westwood and Clark in a practice round, and as they finished, Foster decided to jump in the buggy and speed away with all their clubs, only to lose control entirely and tumble onto the course and see it careering towards the spectators. Thankfully, the Red Sea parted and the buggy smashed into a tree, with viewers and clubs still intact.
Good morning. This is Weekend Sports Breakfast. Me, Katie Shanahan, alongside former Chelsea striker Tony Cascarino with you on talkSPORT this morning.
Good morning.
It was Anthony Joshua who came up trumps last night, knocking out Christian Prenga in the second round. Here's how it sounded live on talkSPORT.
Prenga's in trouble and he's gone down. Right hand puts Prenga down and Joshua smiles as much as to say it was always going to happen.
We'll look back on a big night of boxing. Gerwyn Price and Luke Littler will meet in the World Match Play final after seeing off their Dutch opponents. Paul Nicholson couldn't believe the machine that is Luke Littler.
His averages are more like IP addresses. He's not just averaging 100, he's so far above 100, he's on another level.
Well, the final is live for you on talkSPORT 2 this evening. And England's Adam Ramsey-PT had to settle for bronze in the men's 100-metre breaststroke final at Commonwealth Games in Glasgow. After the race, the three-time Olympic swimming champion was in a philosophical mood.
Right now, I'm like, there's not a decision that went wrong. There's not a thing that I could have done better. I absolutely worked every cell of my body into this meet.
Well, sometimes that's all you can ask for. He really did try his best. We'll look back on all of last night's action on this morning's show. Lots more coming up, of course. We would love to hear from you as well. You can text me and Cass on 81089. We've had some lovely messages in this morning. Thank you so much. Or you can give us a call on 03717 223344. This is Weekend Sports Breakfast here on talkSPORT. We also want to know from you this morning, what sports have you got into unexpectedly? Mine was GB handball. I mean, Cash, you love following the Tour de France as it reaches its last stage today. Have you seen it live?
No, never. No, I've never gone live. I mean, it's followed by literally millions.
I know, I know, but you should try one day.
Yeah,
we
I
need to
know.
get you down to the ice hockey rink, and then we need to get you out to the Champs-Élysées.
Do you know what I find?
Maybe go after the show today.
Do you know, some sports are unbelievably better on TV to me.
Like what?
Than going live.
Like what?
Well, Tour de France.
Tour de France.
You know, you're going to see them. You're going to witness them come round for
This is very true.
A few minutes, and you're standing there all day for that moment, and then okay, we've seen that.
Yeah.
When you're watching it, and especially the highlights, because obviously the tour sometimes they're riding for 4 or 5 hours. But if you're watching it, I mean, I would probably want to see a sprint stage more likely, which is less than an hour. I could do that, but standing in the same place for literally all day, and I'm sure there's good fun things to do as well, and people are bringing food and a bit of drink, but no, I'd much rather watch it highlights package on TV.
Thing is, if they fizz past once, no my luck, I'll be too busy drinking the champagne and prosecco in the picnic basket and then miss them because I was too busy chatting away with friends.
You know, there are experiences that are even better. You know, some sports I just enjoy it more watching it from the sofa.
Yeah. Well, there we go. We've also had this text in. Good morning, Andy. Goes, hi, talkSPORT. A sport taking place this weekend is the CrossFit Games. You crown the fittest man or woman on earth. We may get a female UK winner in Amy Kringle. Well, that is taking place this weekend. I might take a look. Thank you very much, Andy, for your text coming in this morning. That's going to be difficult, the CrossFit Games. Wow.
I mean, these fitness, demanding, absolute madness of when you hear some of the things they do.
Yeah.
You think, wow.
We've got the
endurance and,
Yeah.
Incredible.
Well, let's take a look at the morning's papers because there's a lot of talk, as we've been speaking about Arsenal being interested in Real Madrid's brilliant Brazilian Vinicius Jr. Now, despite the deal appearing expensive and potentially unlikely, Spanish football expert Phil Kitchmalides told talkSPORT yesterday that the deal makes sense for both parties. So, here he is.
It's not that they've made a bid. It's not that they've been speaking to Real Madrid. It's that they are interested in signing him, which fair enough. And you know what? Vinicius to Arsenal makes a lot of sense, actually, on a lot of levels on both sides. Vinicius going into the final year of his contract hasn't necessarily felt like he's the main man at Real Madrid since the arrival of Kylian Mbappe. He's been asking, I've been told, for around 30 million euros a year at Real Madrid, which is about 550 UK euros a week. Real Madrid aren't going to pay that. Can Arsenal come anywhere close to that?
Cass, you're not convinced this will happen?
No, I just think it's really hard. Look, there'll be lots of suitors, and I know only a certain amount of clubs can afford Vinny Junior. Look, we never know, but I think it's more unlikely. But that's only my opinion.
Well, let's get the South American perspective, shall we? From the author of Wild World of Brazilian Football, John Cotterill's with us this morning. Good morning, John.
Good morning.
All right, John.
So where do you sit on this? Do you get the sense that Vinny would like a change of scene?
I think we'd all like a change of scene at some point, wouldn't we, really? I mean, for the money he's been talked about, it's a hefty fifth if these things are true. Just maybe perhaps it's his representatives that are putting this out, with a year left on his contract. Perhaps that could be one avenue. So it's out. Real Madrid know there's competition perhaps for his signature. As you've been saying, it's just a year on his contract. But it is always a possibility. But, Arsenal also have got other options as well, I think.
John, I was, if you think about it, and, the more I think, the more unlikely I'm, my logic just, imagine you're bringing a player that the sums we're talking and the knock-on effect of that at a football club, because you literally break all your salary, your top earners, that gets broken immediately, and probably by a country distance, quite a long way. So, and then Vinny has had offers from obviously Saudi Arabia, which was huge. I don't think a 26-year-old you should be going there. And also the fact that somewhere along the line, Real Madrid, I can't ever remember a player not agreeing terms with Real Madrid.
Yeah, arguably the biggest club in the world, I think, just from the commercial side of things on its own. But yeah, you're quite right about that. It's always been a knock-on effect, though, hasn't it? Whatever big signing has been made all around the world, even in the Premier League, of course, these things inevitably happen. And we kind of think at the time, wow, it's going to have this knock-on effect with everything else. But it's always been the same as football, Tony, as you know.
Yeah.
These things happen. Players go for massive prices, sign great deals. Within a few months, those prices and those deals are beaten.
Yeah. Well, I can think of people like Klinsmann, I said before, Bergkamp went to Arsenal. That was a massive coup for Arsenal at the time.
John, the papers are suggesting that Arsenal have been given the green light to go after Vinny. Who else do you think would come in for him if he's available and would be a good fit?
For Vinny Jr., I'm sure like Flamengo, for example, in Brazil would love to get him, but there's no chance. He's too young, it's too expensive. But all the big names, it depends, where he could fit into the plan. If Arsenal have got a plan, for example, if anybody else in the Premier League has also got a plan. For me, 22 goals for Real Madrid last season. Had a decent enough campaign with Brazil, 4 goals in the World Cup. But for me, he's always been inconsistent. And that's been an issue for me. I also think perhaps it might not be robust enough for the Premier League. And I'd prefer someone like Julian Alvarez, the Argentine, who's at Atletico Madrid, who's had Premier League experience as well. But yeah, Vinny Jr., of course, the clubs are limited who've got that kind of price tag. But again, for me, it's not only the price. What's he going to do? How is he going to fit in? Can he fit in around the team they've got? And can he fit into the style they've got as well?
How much are we looking at in terms of fee at the moment?
Well, it's anything, isn't it? But again, with that year on his contract...
Over 100 million.
Well, it's going to be something like that. But, Man City are talking about 115 million quid for the Jordi Maradona, which they got from Forest, of course. And that was beaten just a few days later. So in that kind of context, 100 million quid for Vinny Jr. is not a bad price. It's the kind of price you would expect, I think.
Well, the only thing I'd say is his agent would probably say, Vinny, wait a year. You'll probably get 50 yourself before we even talk about salary.
Yeah.
I just don't see that being the case. And also, and you talked about being robust. I remember watching him last season in the Champions League against Man City. He scored 2 away from home, played really well. I thought he really gave Man City a number of issues. I then saw him. He backed it up. He played in the Super Cup. He played a game against Atletico Madrid and scored a brace straight afterwards. And I felt by the end of the season, he was playing probably as well as he had done for a good 18 months, 2 years.
Yeah, the technical side of things, there's no question about the skills he's got. He's an absolutely fabulous player. But again, I think inconsistent. And I did see him actually before when he was at Flamengo's under 17 side in the Copinha, the Little Cup as it's called, the biggest youth championship in Brazil. So I actually went to see him quite a few years ago now, and he was a standout player, just absolutely head and shoulders above everybody else on the pitch. But again, for me, it's that question of inconsistency.
John, I was out at the World Cup in New York when Brazil were knocked out by Norway, and I'd just be fascinated to know what the reaction's been like to Brazil's performance at the World Cup.
Well, the worst finish since 1990, which says a lot, really. They brought in... I think the problem with them has been management for Brazil for a long time. So the golden bullet was seen as bringing in a top European coach, in Ancelotti in this case, and that would be the fix, which would do everything a little bit extra, like England with their head coach Tuchel as well. You know, we've got everything in place. All we need now is a top foreign coach to fix everything. And it's not turned out that way at all for Brazil. So, yeah, Brazilians massively disappointed.
Well, it's quite extraordinary. In 1990, like you just said, they didn't play particularly well, got knocked out early. 4 years later, they were world champions again.
Yeah, well, this is the thing.
That's Brazil.
It is Brazil, yeah. They normally have bad performances in the South American World Cup qualifiers, and they're going to do well. And that was the case this year. So many people thinking, okay, we didn't do well here in South America. We're going to, burst the World Cup. But I'm afraid it's not happened.
How about Bruno Guimaraes to Arsenal? There's been a lot of chat over here about that. How realistic is that to happen from your point of view?
Well, he's in Brazil at the moment. He was filmed watching Vasco da Gama, which he's just said that's his team. He supports them as a kid. He's not from here as you know, but he supports them. So, yeah, I mean, for me, he's going to be 29 in November. And I think, again, he also had a decent World Cup. He's got European experience. He's got Premier League experience as well. 48 games for Brazil, 3 goals. I think it's a decent midfielder, but I think 70 million quid for someone who's going to be 29 in November, I think he's on the excessive side. And also as well, he's an okay midfielder, isn't he? But you wouldn't say he was an absolutely fabulous midfielder.
I think he's better than okay, John. I think he's got a bit more than that. But you've been watching a lot of South American football, so you've been spoilt along the way.
Yeah.
Talking of nice stories here, nice one to end on here, John. 40-year-old Cape Verde keeper Vizinho, who made such an impression at the World Cup, wasn't he? He had incredible keeping a clean sheet against the Argentina, and he's now got himself a new club, I believe.
Yeah, he's off to Colo-Colo, isn't he? But apparently, from what I've read, the manager there, Fernando Ortiz, an Argentine, didn't really know anything about the signing, wasn't involved in the signing, and has said that Vizinho, which translates as grandma, will have to fight for his place when he arrives.
One of the wonderful stories from the World Cup, isn't it, Cass?
Yeah.
John, thank you so much for your time this
John.
morning. Great to get all your insight about South American football. Thank you very much there. That is John Cotterill with us this morning on Weekend Sports Breakfast, the author of Wild World of Brilliant Brazilian Football. Right, coming up next, Cass, you have a tale to tell, I believe.
Yes.
Yes, we have. So you are listening to Weekend Sports Breakfast here on talkSPORT. A very good morning.
Jack Grealish.
Yep.
Also going to be back at Man City.
Yep.
Next season.
It'd be interesting to see what happens with Jack if he's given a chance by Maresca, because he would have been part of that Man City squad that Maresca was at. Or will the manager think, no? And will Jack think, you know what, maybe I want to move on? I think it's still early doors. I think we have to see what happens over the next 6 weeks. Still 6 weeks left of the transfer window. Start of September, it closes. I don't see him staying there. I see him moving on.
Where?
It wouldn't surprise me if he moves somewhere else in Europe. I don't see him staying in the Premier League. So I think he's still got 1 year left, I think, of his contract. So the wages as well, will that be a problem?
Bicycle, bicycle, bicycle. I want to ride my bicycle, bicycle, bicycle. I want to ride my bicycle.
A very good morning. You are listening to Weekend Breakfast. I'm Katie Shanahan alongside former Chelsea and Republic of Ireland striker Tony Cascarino.
Yes.
You know this song, don't you?
Of course I do.
Yes, this is, of course, Queen with Bicycle Race, as it's another birthday, Cass.
Oh.
We had Mick Jagger earlier on.
Wasn't it? Oh, it was Brian May last week, wasn't it?
What, last week?
Last
week, okay.
Yeah.
And it's Roger Taylor, the drummer.
Oh, right, the drummer.
77
Yeah.
today. Stones or Queen for you, Cass?
Oh.
What do you want to hear more of this morning? Maybe
I'll
put it out to
probably
the listeners. What
well,
do
no,
you want
I
to hear
still
more
haven't.
of?
You don't always get what you want. I want to hear
Oh,
that
you want to
one.
hear that
That's
one,
my
okay.
favourite Stones. Can I have a favourite Stones one? And
Okay, yeah.
then, Don't Stop Us Now.
Oh
by
yes,
the
that's
Queen.
a
Don't
banger.
Stop Us Now.
That's a
Love that
very good one.
Yeah.
I'm sure we can sort that out with production. They're giving me
Yeah,
a
so
nod
it's
through the
one of
glass.
each.
There we
How
go.
about that?
Okay, story time, I believe now.
Yes.
Now you told us a wonderful story about the late Kevin Keegan, and today you want to tell us a little bit of a story based on Irish traditions, I'm told.
Yeah, I wanted to tell this, Katie, because I heard this story. Now, when you hear stories, obviously they can get exaggerated. And as I've sort of tried to delve more and find out a bit more about this story, because I found it mad, okay, the story. So the more you go into it, it sort of takes off different directions of what's actually true and what's not. But it's fine. It's fine, because sometimes, this is a story. But it's the All-Ireland final today.
Okay.
And Kerry are taking on Mayo in Gar, which is Gaelic football. Which will be in Dublin. And I heard this story about Mayo. Now, the connection for me is that my mum's side of the family are from Mayo, Westport County Mayo, okay? So I've always had a bit of a connection there anyway. But this is where the story starts, right? In 1951 was the last time Mayo were champions.
Oh, wow.
Right, so it's 75 years ago. And when they won that title, the team were meant to stop on the way back, going via Mayo, stop on their bus and meet the fans. They didn't stop. Because they were running late coming out of Dublin, apparently that they got held up, so they didn't stop at Mayo. And the local priest at that time put a 75-year, put a curse on, and I say 75 because it wasn't at the time to me, put a curse on the team that they'd never win, okay, at that particular time until the last player of that squad had passed away. Now, in 2023, because they've been in 11 finals, Mayo, lost every one, okay? And they're playing Kerry today, and they've lost 3 to Kerry in that time. So the last player, Mick Loftus, passed away in 2023. Dr. Mick Loftus, okay? So he passed away. So now the curse is ended. And in that time, loads of Mayo players and coaches or whatever members of staff never wanted to talk about this curse. They always try and avoid it because it's gone on so long over that period, and now 75 years. They want to avoid it because they just it's feel like it's so negative for them that they just can't get. And they've been in some great positions in finals and lost. Wow. And this curse is always, because the last players died and passed away now, this is the first time Mayo are going to play where the curse is lifted.
Wow, that's
after 75 years. So it's an extraordinary story that how much of it is true, I don't know. But it's been that story, with stories, sometimes they get exaggerated along the way. But I found it fascinating. When I looked into it last week, and I knew it was the All-Ireland today, I thought, I've got to tell that.
That is amazing.
A curse.
And then if they win?
Well, if they win, the curse has been lifted. But how ironic would it be if it was lifted and then they win after 75 years? So I'm cheering on Mayo today. Right, come on, mate.
Curse is lifted.
No, it's just amazing. And sometimes these things where happen in life and, it's coincidental and look, they haven't been good enough. You make all these, and then there's things you go, that's really weird. That
Do you
curse was put on since
believe in
51.
things like that? Curses.
Well, I sort of don't, but then when it happens, it becomes weird and you think...
11 finals as
11
well.
finals have happened since 51. Okay, lost every one of them, and there's been some really big upsets and final minutes of things have happened in the games, and you're looking back and you go, is that coincidence? Is that really a real curse? And there are curses in sport. It's happened. There's many things in, we've heard before that people have put, or it can be very tribal that curses have been put on, and you sort of think, oh dear, and it's played true. It's played out true. So I'm really, really hopeful that Mayo can get the result and lift this curse finally, and they can move on, Mayo, because it's surrounded the club for a long time.
I was going to say, what's the reaction been like around everyone?
They've tried to avoid it. The longer it's gone on, and it's been a case of we don't want to keep talking about it because it's still with us.
Oh, right. Okay.
Until the last player passed away, which was 2023, the curse was only going to be lifted then, and they didn't win. So that curse lasted all them years. Literally.
A lot of pressure on the players' shoulders today.
Yeah, and I was talking to a friend of mine. He said, "Yeah, you sometimes they interview players and they don't really want to talk about it in the interview
because they probably don't know whether to believe it or not. They're like, it's silly to believe it, but then you look at 11 finals.
The last time Mayo won was 1951, and apparently they didn't stop on the way back from winning the final, and that was why the curse was put on them.
So if they don't win today, then what?
Well, then, snooker. Then this story was a complete waste of time.
So it's got us thinking this morning, how about any other sporting curses that you've heard about or you think that maybe your team is cursed? Give us a text, 81089. Can you think apart from
there
that
was
one?
a Barry Fry one, wasn't there, when apparently someone was piddling or something, this curse had to be lifted or something. At Birmingham City fans would know way more than me about that story, but apparently there was one that Barry Fry told a few years back. But this is nothing new, where curses have been put on. It used to be in a period of time quite often. That was one way of, we'll stop this happening, through a curse.
Yeah. We just had a lovely text here, actually, from Adam, huge Middlesbrough fan. He goes, morning, Katie and Cass. I'm currently sat on my fishing box at a lovely pond. Here, you got here at 5 a.m. It's raining on and off, but I love it. I was a big golfer, but shoulder surgery around 18 months ago put me to playing golf, so put me off playing golf, I think. So I took up fishing again. I love being out in the fresh air and it's great for my mental health, and listening to you guys makes it even better. That's really nice. Great show, and thanks for the company. Adam, thank you so much. Best of luck for Middlesbrough as well this season. Lovely text there this morning.
Do you know, just add one thing on. You talked about paddle earlier.
Oh, yeah.
One of my good friends over the years, his son is one of the biggest paddle owners in the UK.
Oh, wow.
Nick Munn's his name is. You could actually Google him. And I know Nick, but only through his dad. And he started paddle off in Spain. He was one of the ones that pushed. He was in the sort of banking industry, and he left and for this desire of making paddle big when he saw it first played, and he started it in Spain, and it came across.
And it's so popular.
And he owns now. He's a big owner of paddle in the UK.
Yeah.
So,
do you play paddle? Do you like it?
I've never played it. I've heard people talk about it, but I've never played it.
It's brilliant, and it's very sociable, and it's really good fun.
Yeah.
I would encourage you to
just
play.
my knee doesn't. It's
you don't need to move much.
Well, that's all right then.
Coming up next, we're going to look back on a big day of racing with talkSPORT commentator Rupert Bell. We'll be saying a very good morning to him. This is Weekend Sports Breakfast here on talkSPORT. You are listening to Katie and Cass this morning. Good morning.
true, that is the one for Tottenham, the one that got away. If you think about what Abramovich did to Chelsea, did to Premier League football, did to world football, he was a benefactor.
He turned you into a big
monster. Yeah, he turned us into a monster.
Yeah, he did, because you wasn't a big club before him. He was an average size.
I mean, we certainly, if you want to do this, which I don't suggest you should, but if you want to do this, in the 10 years prior to Abramovich, Chelsea won more than you've won in the Premier League era.
Up the Chelsea.
In the 10 years.
Honestly, you and Cundy.
In the 10 years, because you can't let it go. You say one thing and I just.
One thing. Like, I literally just said one thing and that was it. Like, bang, I got the fishing rod out.
Yeah. In the 10 years
prior
to.
A big one.
Yeah, you have. In the 10 years prior to Abramovich taking over Chelsea, so just go the 10 years prior to that, Chelsea won more than Tottenham.
Tonight, I'm gonna have myself a real good time. I feel alive. And the world.
Good morning. You're listening to Weekend Sports Breakfast. I'm Katie Shanahan alongside Tony Cascarino. Here you go. This song you wanted.
Yes. Sorry, I'm in a bit of a rush there.
Running back.
I was having a good time out there.
You're too busy booking outside. Here are some of the headlines you're waking up to this morning. Tadej Pogacar is set to secure a record-equaling fifth Tour de France after a dramatic Stage 20 saw Ecuador's Richard Carapaz clinch victory on the outdoors, and Anthony Joshua remains on course for a showdown with British heavyweight rival Tyson Fury later this year after recovering from being knocked down inside 20 seconds to secure a second-round knockout of Christian Prenga last night. But Paul Smith, speaking on talkSPORT, thought AJ's return was a bit too premature.
I love the lad. I've got all the time in the world for him. I know him personally, and I've watched his rise from the very first fight from the Olympics, and he's done unbelievable for himself, for this country, for the UK, for his team, his family members, his friends. But I'm not blaming anyone for it, by the way. I think he was back a bit too soon tonight, and I would like to see him have a layoff and maybe see this mega fight now in the new year.
Did you watch the fight last night? What did you make of it? Do you think he's back too soon?
Well, you can't judge on an opponent you've beaten in 2 rounds, and it was quite clearly just a warm-up fight for one coming further down the line. I don't know where AJ is. I don't think you can make too much out of that fight, but I'd make the same case of Tyson Fury, who won in Thailand. Okay, it was an exhibition type of fight. No one really knows about these two, where they are, until they get in the ring. Because Fury against AJ will be way different, and they're a long way short. I would imagine both of them are a long way short from fighting soon. They're going to have a lot of preparation and get themselves absolutely in peak condition to put on a good performance. Because both of them have had 2 fights, that have been pretty comfortable for them.
Yeah, and also a bit of a scare for Anthony Joshua to be knocked down 20 seconds in. The fans watching will probably think, oh, wow, are we going to watch one of the biggest upsets in heavyweight history here?
Well, again, it's really hard to say. I mean, he's gone through a lot in the last year or so, or just under. And Tyson, likewise, Tyson Fury. They're both have got on this sort of... They're not where they were 3 years ago. And yes, they've got older, but they've had a lot happen to them. They've both been beaten a few times. I mean, AJ, Dubois beating him, you've had Usyk beating him. It's tough for them.
Yeah. I mean, AJ spoke after the fight saying, I respect everything he has done, speaking about Tyson Fury and everything that he's achieved. But as a fighting person, we're here now. I hope the fans will be in for a lovely treat. Their contracts have been signed, but the venue and date for the fight is still to be determined. But everyone just clearly wants this fight to happen, and it's been a long time.
Look, as we know in boxing, and when you get in the ring, of how much fight there's left in these fighters, we don't know that at the moment. One might have slightly more than the other, but they're both literally, I look at them as both in the same similar scenario. They've not really fought like they did 3-5 years ago, the type of opponents.
Pre-season friendlies have been rumbling on, Cass. A few quirky stories to bring you this morning on Weekend Sports Breakfast. Firstly, Bromley defeated Crystal Palace.
I know.
3-0.
Yeah. Well, Andy Woodman's team do like to get the ball forward, so it's an interesting one when you play a pre-season friendly, when the opposition are literally going, it's coming in all the time at all different angles, because Bromley do it brilliantly well. And that's been their strength of being the trophy winner, being, going up from the conference, going up from League 2, now being a League 1 team. An amazing journey Bromley have been on. And look, Palace are losing a lot of players. I don't know how strong the Palace team was.
I was going to say, any concern for Palace?
Well, I think like Bournemouth, when you lose a manager that's done so well, and Palace have had a similar theme with losing Glasner, it's hard to... Look, like this time last year, everyone was on the Keith Andrews getting Brentford.
Yeah.
They're going to fall apart. They're going to do this. And losing Thomas Frank is... Brentford fans are fearing relegation. All this was the conversation. So I don't want to go that far, but I would have concerns of losing Glasner and for Bournemouth. And Doli Areola is a great manager for them. So one of them two, I'm going to imagine, is going to have a really hard season.
Yeah. And there was this other story, I don't know if you saw this, third-tier side from Germany, Hansa Rostock, played at Watford. They brought 6,500 travelling fans with them. I mean, how about that for support? Especially for a pre-season game. German
clubs have amazing away support. They've done it many times in the Champions League. There'll be fans who are listening who have been at games and what a turnout. Schalke have got amazing support. Eintracht Frankfurt, again, amazing travelling fans. Bayern, it's incredible, some of the German... I would say that when you look at English football and you go what the Premier League attracts, and then you go down the pyramids and you go down to League 1, League 2, Championship, Conference, huge support. Germany's the closest to that. You go down the leagues in Germany, in League Two, there's clubs there that get really big support.
More than like Spain.
As far as I know, France is not even near Germany and England on going down the leagues, the pyramids of football. But we have over here an amazing support going down levels, and Germany have it, I would say, next. I don't know so much about Spain, but it's incredible what support they do get in German football.
What would you say is the most support you've ever seen during a pre-season game?
I played in Celtic versus Tottenham, and I think it was about 40,000 there at Parkhead. Wow. That was my debut.
Wow!
It was a friendly, and I remember that game. I think Spurs beat us at Parkhead. That's nothing normal. Nothing abnormal with Celtic and Rangers. They will take huge support everywhere, and they'll have big fan bases for games at Ibrox or Celtic Park. I was shocked at the time. I remember thinking, be 40,000 there for friendly. Pre-season friendly, and there was.
There we go. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Right, time to move on, because yesterday saw the legendary King Georgia Ascot races yesterday. The big story was Kalpana, the runner-up in last year's races, claiming the win to give trainer Andrew Balding an emotional first success in Ascot's Midsummer Showpiece. And this weekend, we'll head to West Sussex for more racing at glorious Goodwood. So for more, we can say a very good morning to talkSPORT's racing commentator, Rupert Bell. Good morning, Rupert.
Hi, Rupert.
Good morning, Tony. Morning, Katie.
How are you doing?
Very good. I had a lovely day at Ascot yesterday, and it's a race I first went to in 1975, so I'm showing my age, when Grundy and Bastino had what was referred to as the race of the century. So it's always a race that, I used to go with my dad, and it's just always a sort of a great day to go. And actually yesterday's victory was an emotional one, because if you think of someone's dad, you think of Ian Balding, because he was the father who died earlier this year, father of Claire and indeed Andrew Balding, as he trained the winner Kalpana, and she thoroughly deserved her success. She was second, as you say, in the race 12 months ago to Calandigan. They were reopposing. It looked a very strong race with raiders from Japan as well, the Irish Derby winner of this year, so it had a really good feel about it. But Kalpana, expertly ridden by Colin Keane, proved that she's a mare getting better and better. And as you say, in emotional scenes, Andrew Balding surrounded by his family, you could see how much it meant to the team to win the Midsummer Championship. It's a hugely prestigious race. Ian Balding won it with the Great Mill Reef in 1971. I do remember that horse. Was a horse that got me into flat racing, one of the horses that did, along with Nijinsky and others around about that time. So to see this horse come good yesterday was a great moment for the family.
Also, I'd like to ask you, Rupert, on, it's a hot day again yesterday, beautiful weather. Ascot, you couldn't be anywhere better on the planet, I would imagine, than Ascot on a glorious day. I'm sure there was huge crowds, as there normally is.
There was, and amazing. You can see how much there's a sort of green oasis around racecourses where they've been watering, because the rest of Ascot, and bearing in mind a month ago we'd been there for the Royal meeting, was just parched. And yes, there was a huge crowd. It was a sort of very much more informal crowd, people in shorts all around the enclosures. Ascot trying to sort of understand that people don't necessarily want to go booted and suited for a day at Ascot when in height of summer. So there was a relaxed feel about it. But from obviously this is the hot weather gives the authorities, exercises them, but they do take great efforts to make sure the horses are well looked after. There are fans with water at some of the unsaddling areas, so the horses, buckets of water everywhere for the horses. So they make a great effort to make sure the horses' welfare is paramount. And next week we head to Goodwood, where I think we're going to be in for a real treat. Sort of talking of Royal Ascot, some of the great races we saw there this year, we'll see the same horses reopposing. So I can't wait to get to the Sussex Downs on Monday. I've got a golf day for the horse race writers, but that's the first challenge of the week. But then the big week starts on Tuesday with some amazing racing.
Yeah, Glorious Goodwood is approaching. So what are some of the trainers and horses to look out for that one?
Well, the Sussex Stakes, I think, will be an epic race because in the St James's Palace Stakes, we saw Gestard and the unbeaten Bo Echo produce an absolute ripper of a race. And all fingers crossed, they'll be reopposing on Wednesday. And then the Goodwood Cup could be a repeat of what we saw at Royal Ascot in the Ascot Gold Cup. Trawlerman and Scandinavia threw down a race for the ages. They were eyeballing each other for so long. And hopefully we see something similar. So in terms of what we see, there's strong racing throughout the week, but I can't wait to see those two go head-to-head again in the Goodwood Cup and the two going head-to-head in the Sussex Stakes. And, of course, we'll be bringing you all the action live on talkSPORT with me and Lizzie Kelly down there. So can't wait to see those races on the most beautiful flat race course in the country when the sun is shining, because last year we had this epic storm during one of the races, and I have never been so wet in about 2 seconds as this howling gale, accompanied by a thunderstorm, came to our very exposed commentary position. And I will be forever in Declan, our loyal producer that time, how he protected us. But it can be horrible. But most of the time, Goodwood is just the most picturesque place to be racing.
Rupert, I haven't spoken to you for a while on the Villa, your beloved Villa. You've lost Morgan Rogers. You've got Garnacho in. Clubs apparently circling around now, Ollie Watkins. What are you fearing or looking forward to with the Villa this season?
Well, we lost a pre-season friendly last night in Porto as well. I know you were talking about them, but we did manage. But I didn't watch the game, so I don't know how we played. But looking at the team, I was thinking, who? Here's my take on it. We were an aging team. We had to rebuild. And I think the team that took us to Europa League glory had achieved their big moment. And to ask that group maybe to go again may be a challenge. Now, you've played in environments, Tony, and understand what I think I'm trying to say there. It might have upset in losing Morgan Rogers, but for 117 million, what can you do? Now, they also talk, they're sniffing around Ezri Konsa. I think Arsenal may have offered only 35 million. Well, I'm sorry, he's got to go for a good deal more than that if they want England's best defender. So it is worrying. We've lost Austin McPhee. It appears that Chelsea are just throwing checkbooks out there, which I don't understand how. But he's been there for 5 years, so I'm trying to put a positive spin on that by saying maybe it is time for someone to go to a new challenge for him.
What about Tillemans, Rupert?
Again, is that a good deal? Probably. We got a lot out of him. I think we will miss him, but we have recruited. So I'm not entirely despondent, but it's going to be an interesting start to the season as we rebuild. But as all Villa's fans say, in Unai we trust.
Rupert, lovely to have you on the programme this morning. That was very funny, and best of luck to Aston Villa. Yeah, hopefully Unai Emery can tune out of Alejandro.
Big changes at Villa.
Lots of change. And clubs are also circling for Ollie Watkins. I don't think they can afford to let him go.
Well, no, but again, as Rupert alluded to, a certain age of players that you might have to move on. I like him because I always feel like you get a lot out of Ollie. You know, he's that willing runner. He'll create space for other players. Morgan Rogers is a big loss. Tillemans likewise. But like they said, if you trust in your manager and you know you can move on and produce maybe even a better team, I don't know. We'll see.
Okay, you are listening to Weekend Sports Breakfast with Katie and Cass this morning. Good to have you company this Sunday. Coming up next, we'll head back to Glasgow and review a big night in the Commonwealth Games. Good morning. This is Weekend Sports Breakfast. Katie Shanahan alongside Tony Cascarino with you this morning. Here are some of the headlines you're waking up to this Sunday. Anthony Joshua recovered from 2 knockdowns, including one after just 20 seconds, to stop Christian Pranga in the second round of his comeback fight in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. Adam Ramsey PT fought back tears after claiming bronze in the 100-metre breaststroke at the Commonwealth Games in Glasgow. More on that very shortly. And in Formula One, Lando Norris secured pole position in qualifying, while Lewis Hamilton faces a grid penalty ahead of the race. Here's Tom Clayton giving a preview ahead of the Hungarian Grand Prix race today.
A busy Saturday saw Lando Norris claim his first pole position of the campaign in the season he defends his world title. He won last year's Hungarian Grand Prix, so he'll take confidence into Sunday's race. He pipped Lewis Hamilton to pole position by 0.012 seconds, but Hamilton was adjudged to have impeded Oscar Piastri earlier in the session, so he's handed a 3-place penalty, dropping him from the front row to 5th. It'll still be a scarlet Ferrari on the front row, as Charles Leclerc was 3rd fastest in the session. He's bumped to 2nd. Behind him should have been the championship leader Kimi Antonelli, but he was another one given a 3-place penalty, this time for failing to slow under yellow flags, so he'll go from 7th. Oscar Piastri benefits from both penalties and is bumped from 5th to 3rd. Max Verstappen will go from 4th then, despite a spin at the final corner, meaning several cars couldn't finish their fastest lap attempt, including George Russell, whose rotten luck continues. He'll go from 6th, as he also suffered a mechanical issue at the end of the session. So it's Norris on pole. Can he become the first non-Mercedes or Ferrari to win a Grand Prix this season in his McLaren? Lights out at 2 p.m. We'll bring you live updates on talkSPORT.
Tom, thank you very much. Moving on to the Commonwealth Games, which started on Thursday. I've been really enjoying the Commonwealth Games coverage so far, with some really exciting stories already happening in the Games in Glasgow. Adam Ramsey PT picked up bronze in the 100-metre breaststroke, while Jersey swimmer Philip Nowacki won the island's first medal since 1990. Ramsey PT gave an emotional reaction to Michael Waydock at poolside after the race.
I'm not ever afraid to show weakness because I know how important it is to show emotion. I know how important it is to show happiness and love, but also times of, failure in a sense, of a moment of silence, I guess, with myself. But I think that emotion has helped me win world records, win gold medals. But it also makes me realise that a bronze medal isn't the end of the world, and I can still learn from it. I can still, bounce back, and I've still got a big dog inside of me that wants to fight.
And he still reached the podium as well, getting that bronze medal. Elsewhere, England began their Commonwealth Games netball campaign in dominant fashion, securing an emphatic 83-34 victory against Northern Ireland in their Pool A opener. We had former England head coach Jill Thirlby on the programme, didn't we, Cass? Great to get her insights. And now let's bring on our next guest. Former Saracens and Bath prop and TNT Sports pundit David Flatman to discuss the Commonwealth Games so far and preview what's coming up today. How are you doing, Flats? Great to have you on the programme.
Hi, David. Yeah, very good, very good. Hi, guys. How are you?
Yeah, good.
What have been the standout moments from the game so far from your point of view?
Well, there's been, in terms of standout moments, I did go to a local food market yesterday and had a lovely time. Managed to arrange a lovely breakfast followed by a lovely lunch, a couple of really posh flat whites. That was good. But also, I think if I had to pick one, just from a rugby background, in rugby, obviously, I was in the front row. So you spend a lot of time in the gym. You've kind of got a rugby background and a strength background to a point. But watching the powerlifting kind of blew my mind, the weights they were shifting up and down, because you got 65, 70 kilo blokes lifting weights that I never saw a rugby player shift ever, like 23, 24 stone guys, 6'8", 6'9", weren't shifting that sort of weight. So that was kind of had to recalibrate my senses a little bit. And I popped in to watch the boxing, and I sat next to this a local guy, a big boxing fan, a Scottish boxing fan. He said, "This lad from Northern Ireland, mate, he'll be gold or silver." And he got knocked out 15 seconds later. So it's all like there's been a good bit of action.
I was going to ask you, David, about Australia, as maybe a number of people would expect them to dominate the medal table so far. England in second, so it's going for plan for England as well.
Yeah, it's also relatively early days, and there's a million events to come yet. But yeah, decent solid start. It feels like on the England v Australia vibe, and there's a medal table contest to talk about as the next week unfolds. But the England against Australia netball this morning, 11 o'clock, I think it is that's kind of the one. So as you mentioned, you've had Jess Thirlby on the show, and known Jess a long time, and her enthusiasm on the TV here on TNT Sports is infectious when she gets talking about netball. So she's built this up within the group to be quite a big occasion. So basically the entire TNT Sports crew, whether we're on duty or off, are focused around England v Australia in the netball. So I think Australia go in as favourites, but you never know.
And what other events are happening today that we can inform the listeners about?
What other events are happening today? Well, there's kind of a ton. So what I've sort of been lucky enough to do is I've arrived here, as you mentioned, as an ex-rugby player, and that's kind of relevant, except it's not. There is no rugby here. There's no rugby here at the Commonwealth Games. So as far as I can work out, my brief is to enjoy myself in studio and enjoy the different sports. So we're dotting around, and it's a big day in the bowls today, and that's one of those sports that until you've watched it. Not live, until you've watched it on telly or live, it is difficult to get an appreciation of the accuracy and the repeated accuracy of these guys. And it's actually a wicked sport. I can imagine myself with a packed lunch and a flask of coffee sitting there all day. It's like fishing without the lake. But there's big boxing, 11 till 3 is big day of boxing, big day of swimming and para swimming. And there's a load of 3x3 basketball and 3x3 wheelchair basketball. There's gymnastics. There's more weightlifting this evening. There's medal ceremonies for that as well. But the 3x3 basketball, it's like that's the sport where I sort of can't get my head around the fitness element of it, because it is absolutely turbo and it never stops, and the athletes can never stop. There's no pause for breath at any point, so they can take timeouts, but they haven't got many. It is absolutely relentless. So yeah, pretty impressive stuff. Basically, pick a sport, it's happening at some point.
Yeah. David, apart from the food that you keep mentioning, what about the atmosphere in Glasgow? How are you finding it?
Yeah, really good. You can see you see me on screen, I've got my umbrella up.
Yeah, Jess Thirlby also had 2 umbrellas. So
yeah, but Jess has got 2 umbrellas. She's a prima donna. She's a diva. She always has been. She's massively over the top. And she was in makeup at 6 a.m. today, and I got out of bed at 7:30. So that's the difference between the two of us in terms of talent management. But it's raining, it's spitting a little bit. This is the first time apparently it's rained in Glasgow for 9 years. So we're very, very unlucky with the weather. The atmosphere is great. It's kind of it's like a proper family day out. So there are lots of entire families here, which is quite nice. And when my sort of day-to-day job is Prem and international rugby, and that it's getting sort of less and less family day outy in that world, because the tickets are all so expensive and that sort of stuff. So when you come to an event where people I presume the kids are all on summer holidays, or they're bunking off. I'm not sure what the system is up here. Mum and Dad have signed them off, but there's a lot of whole families walking around. There's you can sort of get into the big SEC or the Hydro. You can just jump between different sports, and people love it. Like it's not a new phenomenon that people love sports, and these multi-sport events like the Commonwealth Games, there's kind of something for everyone. But also you can just wander into a hall, sit on a seat and watch a sport you've never watched before, and absolutely love it. Like I've never sat and watched bowls before, but I reckon I could do, as I said, a whole day. As long as a little cushion for my seat, I reckon I could do a whole day.
Well, I enjoyed watching the lawn bowls, I think 2 days ago, and you're right, Flats. The accuracy is incredible, and it's quite addictive, actually.
I mean, it's their job, so they're meant to be accurate. But still,
this is true.
Do you know what I mean? So they're meant to be accurate, but it's one of those. It's a bit like watching Ronnie O'Sullivan play snooker, and you think, "Oh, go on then, I'll go and have a go at that," and you realise, 20 attempts in, you haven't potted one yet. So you watch the best of the best compete at sport. But I sort of think that is what sport is meant to be about. Like you go and watch, like Tony, when you were playing football, I'm sure people in the crowd were open mouthed at your talents and your abilities on a weekly basis.
No. You got stick.
Maybe not actually. No, but they were. But it's meant to be. The whole reason you sort of you pay and you make the effort to go and watch is that it's kind of, in a sense, it's otherworldly, and they're doing things you can't imagine your body doing, and concentrating to levels you can't imagine yourself concentrating. So it is It is actually, yeah, it's a really, really fun experience above all else.
Well, I'm glad you're having an amazing time. I've really been enjoying the coverage, and I can't wait to go home and enjoy watching much more of it. Flats, thank you so much for your time.
Cheers, David. Great
really,
fun.
really happy to have you on the programme. TNT Sports pundit David Flatman there, bringing us plenty of humour this morning. And
He's
remember,
a character, isn't he?
He's very funny. He's very funny. Always brightens up the show. Now you can watch every event of the Glasgow 2026 Commonwealth Games exclusively live on TNT Sports and all HBO Max plans in the UK and Ireland. And of course, you can also listen to each night here on talkSPORT as well. Right, coming up next, we'll discuss Cass's beloved Liverpool. Could the new man at the helm take them back to the very top? This is Weekend Sports Breakfast with Katie and Cass this morning here on talkSPORT.
Jurgen Klopp has today been appointed as the new national team manager. As a Liverpool fan, would you spend the money on Diamonde as a sort of up-and-coming prospect, or would you go for Barcola as the ready-made replacement for Mo Salah?
I'm not sure on Barcola. I'd probably Diamonde. I like him. But it's 110 million quid for potential.
Mm.
When you're paying 110 million quid for potential nowadays, I don't love that. And that's a problem. And that's where the market is, unfortunately. So it's a tough one. Liverpool have to replace Salah. They need wide players. Now they're talking about some player from Monaco who's probably would have been fifth choice at the start of the summer. So Liverpool fans would probably spontaneously combust if that's the only signing that came in those positions. I don't think they'll get Diamonde. I think that's PSG all over. So then you're going to go for Barcola.
What's your club or country's sliding doors moment? Its meaning originating from the 1998 rom-com of the same name, a sliding doors moment in football terms is simply a question of what might have been. An incident in a game where, had it gone the other way, would have altered history. For example, say John Terry had scored that penalty in Moscow in 2008. Chelsea would have been European champions and Avram Grant would have the biggest medal in continental club football to his name. It stands to reason then that he would have stayed at Stamford Bridge for a bit longer, meaning that Luis Felipe Scolari wouldn't have got a look in. Would he have done better than the World Cup winning Brazilian, who only lasted till February the following year? And could he have improved upon Chelsea's third place finish? And as for United, who won the title that season, would defeats in that Moscow final have led to Cristiano Ronaldo leaving the club for Real Madrid a year earlier? And would that have meant that Rafa Benitez's Liverpool won the Premier League instead of them? That's a pretty big butterfly effect, all from one missed penalty kick going the other way. And if you want to dig a bit deeper, there's plenty more that could have been affected. What if Anthony Knockaert had scored his penalty against Watford? We'd have been denied the Troy Deeney moment, sure, but might Leicester have gone on to win promotion to the Premier League earlier than scheduled? And would that have meant that Claudio Ranieri would never make it to the King Power? Would Arsenal or Tottenham, therefore, have been champions in 2016? The most significant sliding doors moment perhaps ever, though, was Paul Gascoigne, Wembley, June 1996. What if this had gone in? That golden goal would have sent England to the Euro 96 final against Czech Republic. 30 years of hurt could well have come to an end. There's so many of these moments that could have altered destiny forever. What if Shearer had signed for United? Would Lampard's ghost goal against Germany have kick-started England's World Cup back in 2010? What if Sam Allardyce didn't get bogged down in all that controversy and denied Gareth Southgate the England job? Does make you think.
Good morning. This is Weekend Sports Breakfast live on YouTube and on your smart TV and, of course, your radio too. I'm Katie Shanahan alongside former Chelsea striker Tony Cascarino.
Good morning.
Anthony Joshua claimed victory over Christian Prenga in the second round of his comeback fight. Here's how it sounded live on talkSPORT.
Prenga's in trouble and he's gone down. Right hand puts Prenga down and Joshua smiles as much as to say it was always going to happen.
Yeah, we'll look back on a big night of boxing in this hour. As for darts, Gerwyn Price and Luke Littler will meet in the World Match Play final after seeing off their Dutch opponents. talkSPORT commentator Paul Nicholson couldn't believe the machine that is Luke Littler.
His averages are more like IP addresses. He's not just averaging 100, he's so far above 100, he's on another level.
Well, the final will be live for you on talkSPORT 2 this evening. And England's Adam Ramsey-Petey had to settle for bronze in the men's 100-metre breaststroke final at the Commonwealth Games. After the race, the three-time Olympic swimming champion was in a philosophical mood.
Right now, I'm like, there's not a decision that went wrong. There's not a thing that I could have done better. I absolutely worked selling my body into this meet.
And we'd love to hear from you, of course. Get involved in the show. You can text me and Cass on 81089, or you can give us a call 03717 223344. This is Weekend Sports Breakfast here on talkSPORT. Now, Cass, you were telling us about that amazing story to do with the curse, and we've had a number of people telling us about sporting curses.
Oh, right, okay.
We've had a text from Ryan saying that Birmingham City's St Andrews ground had a curse put on it as well, so which means that it wouldn't it means that they wouldn't win anything for ages. So going back to your story there, speaking about the Mayo and the All-Irish final that's happening today, and the curse that has been going on for 75 years.
75 years, 1951. Okay, it started when they didn't stop on the way back from winning the final in Dublin, and the curse was put on by the local priest that they would never win All-Ireland Championship until the last player of that particular team had passed away, and he passed away 2 years ago, and now Mayo are in the final. They've lost 11 of the finals in that 75-year period.
Yeah, so let us know if you've got any other sporting curses. Cass, that's amazing. You just did that story in about 30 seconds.
Well, I tried to shorten it.
10 minutes earlier.
We're going to be talking Liverpool, so I want to be
giving a bit you want to have plenty of time for your beloved Liverpool. Okay, there we go. Right, keep those calls and texts coming in 81089. Right, Liverpool then. Andoni Iraola has been warned he needs needs to get Liverpool playing heavy metal football if he wants to keep Liverpool fans on side next season. He took charge of his first game, beating Sunderland 4-2. This was in a pre-season friendly in Nashville. Iraola is known for his brand of fast-paced football and has been penned as the man to bring them back to that kind of sort of playing style that fans saw under Jurgen Klopp. Well, Darren McAntony thinks that Iraola and his staff will surprise a lot of people this season.
He's ingrained himself in English football. It's why he's a successful manager. You look at people and go, why is he successful? Why did he do what he did at Bournemouth? It's not just the coaching. Actually, culturally, how he's doing it with the coaches, the dressing room, he's very loved and very respected. And like I said, I've spoke to the Bournemouth staff before, and they're all humble. The one thing I would say about this guy, very difficult to describe Jurgen Klopp as humble. He's elite.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say humble was one of his main things. Slot, you would say, very good coach, very good manager.
I thought he was very likable
boring
guy.
But boring, maybe, some people would say. You look at this guy, and I would say you describe him as humble. Humbly deceptive.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to prove a lot of people, well, he's going to surprise a lot of people this next couple of years.
Well, I totally agree with Darren. I mean, I was very excited, and I was one that really wanted him to come to Anfield. So I thought he's got a lot of the characteristics of a Liverpool manager. I'm excited about some of the recruitment. Jeremy Jackie coming in, a 20-year-old centre-half. I'm excited about him. I'm even more so. One of the biggest losses for Liverpool last year of the transfers that went out the club was Luis Diaz. I didn't want him to go, and he went to Bayern Munich. That's going to be a big miss for Liverpool. Now they brought in Victor Muniz, who's coming from Osasuna, who was at Real Madrid as a kid. And I'm excited about him because he's Luis Diaz Mark II.
Yeah.
If anybody's ever watched him or seen him, he's going to run at you. High intensity, good dribbling, dynamic, speed. He's got all of that. I think Liverpool fans will really enjoy him. And that gives also competition for Rio Mgama.
Yeah.
Because he's a talented young lad at 17. This lad's probably further down the line and ready to play. But there's two now viable options on the left side because I think Gakpo done okay. I think Liverpool fans feel like they need something quite more different on the left-hand side. So I'm excited about Muniz coming as well. I really like him. They paid 35 million pound for him. Iraola will get the best out of him because he loves dynamic players that can dribble and run at players, scare the life out of them, tenacious, all them qualities. So I'm really optimistic about Liverpool.
How important is it that the likes of Florian Wirtz and Alexander Isak step up this season?
Well, yeah, they can't be the level they were last year. Liverpool, they're not going to do anything. They're going to find it very, very difficult if Isak is not the Isak of Newcastle. Wirtz, I'm not so convinced about. I mean, I've talked about the left side, and he played quite often there for Liverpool. I'm just concerned that he's got in this real bad habit, and again, it's brilliant when it comes off, but when it don't, you can lose the ball easily. He's doing a lot of flicks. So when it comes to me, flicks it. And sometimes they're blind flicks. So if you lose the ball, the opposition is just coming at you. And Liverpool got exposed numerous times last year where they'd lost the ball in a certain area of the pitch and then suddenly the opposition were all over them. And I think if he can come away, because there's no question he's a huge talent, Wirtz. But don't go down that road of just being flicks. As when it comes off, it's fantastic. We'll all go, wow, well, look at that. But if it doesn't, you're putting your team in trouble a lot of the time. So I think hopefully he'll get back to the Wirtz that he did when he was at Bayer Leverkusen. He did sort of had that style of flicks, but it came off for him a lot more than it did at Anfield. Whether he's on the same hymn sheet as the players at Liverpool when he came in last season, that's another question. But I am generally excited. And the most important signing for Liverpool is the manager.
Yeah.
Because Klopp has got his detractors in some ways. He is a huge personality, and he was absolutely sensational for Liverpool. But I do feel that, and Iraola will be a massive thumbs up. I really do.
Yeah, and I mean, if he's saying that, he needs to get Liverpool playing heavy metal football, then that's something to excite the fans.
Well, he probably, like Darren said, he's a very humble man. I don't think he sees it as heavy metal football. He sees it as more dynamic and more, I don't know, having a team that's just really tenacious all over the pitch, that will close you down, won't give you time to breathe. Yeah, I'm excited by it. I mean, look, I've said many a time, and Bournemouth fans know this, I love going to watch Bournemouth play. I enjoyed it. It was like this little town, or, in Bournemouth, and you go down, there's 10,000
They play great
people,
football, don't they?
and then they take it to you. And they come after you, and you know what they do as well? They play like a team that's a Champions League team away from home. They go after you in your own backyard. Ask Arsenal. Arsenal fans who witnessed Bournemouth. Ask Liverpool fans last season, the opening game of the season. Bournemouth taking them on and like, wow, this Bournemouth team. Yes, they had Semenya. Great player. It's gone to Man City. But what they did, for me, when I watched them, and I watched them a good few times, I always come away and say, do you know what? You wouldn't want to face Bournemouth too often.
Yeah.
They're capable of beating anybody. Man City found it hard when they had to go and get a result down in the Vitality against
they
Bournemouth.
did, yeah.
Found it really hard against Bournemouth.
Just finally on this, what sort of role do we want to see from Dominic Szoboszlai? Obviously one of, well, if not probably arguably the best player for Liverpool last season. Does he need to step up as a kind of Virgil van Dijk in terms of kind of leadership and taking his game to another level this season?
Well, I felt the midfield, apart from him, was pretty much off last year. What do they do with McAllister? Because I'm not sure he's in Liverpool's best 11 now. So there's a question mark on him. I also thought Gravenberch wasn't as good as the year before. He suffered a bit. Liverpool were a little bit more open. And yes, Dominic Szoboszlai was by far Liverpool's best midfielder. If he plays like he did last year and the team improve around him, Liverpool will be fine.
Yeah. Okay, coming up next, we'll have the latest odds from Coral, and shortly we'll look back on that comeback win for AJ last night. This is Weekend Sports Breakfast with Katie and Cass here on talkSPORT. Good morning.
I think United want to move on. He's obviously on a hefty wage. I'm amazed Saudi haven't come in. I'm amazed he hasn't gone out to Saudi.
I think he won it.
Again, Saudi pay a lot more than 300 grand a week for a player obviously who's playing for England and still in his prime. Yeah. I'm very surprised Barcelona didn't do the deal. But then again, I expected him to do well at Barcelona. Most, average wingers would do well out there, the team they have. I don't know where he goes. If you were a Spurs, would you go for him?
That's the one that keeps nagging away in the back of my mind.
We'll take him for a loan.
Yeah.
And if he plays 23 games, you know what I mean, we'll obviously pay this fee and that fee. What United are going to have to probably end up doing is recuperating as much of that fee back and all the loan fees they've had the last 2 seasons and the next 2 seasons. So I'm thinking Spurs. They've got a few more experienced Premier League players they've signed.
And De Zerbi's the type of manager that feels he can.
I'm not sure
he feels he can fix players.
I'm not sure he'd put up with.
Really?
And then you'd worry about the London life, wouldn't you? So
yes, you would.
There's all those things. Rashford is incredibly talented, and you look at him and go, "What are you doing with your career? You should be dominating.
Yeah.
You should be."
This ain't Texas, ain't no hold'em. So lay your cards down, 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 down.
A very good morning. You are listening to Weekend Sports Breakfast with me, Katie Shanahan, alongside former Chelsea and Celtic striker Tony Cascarino. Do you like this song, Cass?
Yeah, I've heard it before, yeah.
When I was in Texas, I was thinking about this song quite a lot, actually. So we are, of course, playing Beyonce's Texas Hold'em because Britain's oldest poker player, Ivor Parker, is still calling the shots, aged 100 years old. He
Right.
started playing poker at just 14 back in 1940 and is still playing 86 years later. Cash, do you think he could beat Ivor in a game of poker?
Well, if he's lasted that long, no. He's still going at
a bit
100.
more experience.
I mean, it's quite weird because it's been dominated, poker, in the last few years by young players.
Okay.
It's really been dominated. And the structure of the World Series was criticised in Vegas this year. Not to say criticised, but in recent years where some players are saying it's just for the older generation, that obviously the time that you're needing to be at the table, and it's quite relentless and quite draining, that the energy is with the younger players, because there's been some huge young players that have come through in the game.
Yeah. Do you still think you'll be playing poker aged 100?
First of all, I don't think I'll be alive when I'm 100. I don't really want to be alive at 100. When certain things are not, I don't know. I find that when you get too old to do anything, and you just about get out of the house, it's like there's not much point to me after that. I mean, sorry if but I don't know. It's a tough one. I find getting old as you get older.
Yeah.
You're safe, Katie, for a good while.
A little bit.
Enjoy
hopefully.
being younger. Enjoy life.
Yeah.
Every day. I know it's an obvious, but enjoy it.
Well, I'm terrible at poker because I've got a terrible poker face. Everyone knows that I've got a great hand or a terrible hand. So.
Well, there's been some great women players come out in the last few years as well. Still
got a chance. Okay, right. Let's get the latest odds now from Coral.
The Coral Daily Download on talkSPORT. Brought to you by Coral, the home of the free-to-play Golden Rewards Shaker. 18 plus max 1 reward per player per selected Shaker day. 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Restrictions and T's and C's apply. Gambleaware.org.
And joining us now is Dave Stevens. Good morning, Steve-O. Do you like your poker?
Do you know what? I couldn't play poker at all. I think maybe.
Come and have a game with us then.
He's like me. Well, yeah. He's terrible at poker. You haven't got a poker face, have you?
Hey, but listen, am I hustling you, Cass? You don't know. No, genuinely. I think maybe I always thought I had enough vices as a young man, betting on the horses and football. I should say nothing worse than that. But no, never been a card player at all.
That surprises me.
And I'm not about to start now, even though I was falling into a pit of despair there with Cass, not wanting to go on.
I know. I was very happy you were there to save me.
Well, I don't think talkSPORT want me on that 100 years old. Do you? By the way,
I'd still be here.
By the way, just on that, David, the Irish kit man that did World Cup 90 and 94 and Euro 88, Charlie O'Leary's name is. He's 102. And I want to get him on the station because he's still he's got everything still there. 102 he is. The kit man.
But what I want to hear from Charlie is it's a pint of Guinness every day that has kept him going at 100. I don't want this nonsense that, he's vegan, he exercises, he meditates, he does all the good things. I want to know that he still has a pint of Guinness.
The secret to success is a pint of Guinness.
Yeah,
absolutely. Listen, sorry, Kath, I'm about to say, talking about Irish sports, I heard you talk about your curse earlier.
Yes, the Mayo, Kerry.
So I forgive me because I literally know nothing about All Ireland football, so I apologise in advance. But I have it on good authority that since the turn of the century, Mayo have been to 8 All Ireland finals and lost all of them.
Yeah.
Kerry have been to 15 finals since 2000 and have won 8 of them.
Mm.
So
this curse has gone on since 1951.
Well, I'm not even going back to that. But you won't be surprised to know that Kerry are favourites, 5-2 on win this. Mayo are 11-4. The draw is 15-2. And I genuinely, Cass, can you explain? I mean, literally in 10 seconds, the scoring in All Ireland football.
Well, yeah, you can shoot in the goal and get 3 points. And I think on one if, I don't know. I've not done golf, so you're asking the wrong man. I just have watched it. One of them sports you watch and admire, and I've met some tough players along the way who have played gar. I say gar because it's a Gaelic football. So yeah, no, I can't explain the story, but it is weird when you look at it.
I'm guessing Shanahan. That must be a good Irish name.
Who?
Shanahan.
Oh, Shanahan is an Irish name. Yeah,
I was going to say.
Yeah, the Shanahans are from Cork and Ireland.
What you said there.
We're losing the plot this morning.
No.
Should we talk about the odds?
Yeah. What about this so-called fight which Fury and AJ might have after 2 very unimpressive performances?
Yeah. Well, Tyson Fury's I can't tell you because haven't we got to wait until a series comes out before we get to see the Tyson
No one actually saw it, but apparently it happened,
And I didn't watch the AJ fight, but obviously he went down and then won in the second. I mean, you talk about living to 100, Cass. We might have to live to 100 to see this fight. Tyson Fury, nothing's really changed. Tyson Fury, if this happens, which let's hope it does, 7-4 on, 6-4 AJ. So it would be tight, but we do favour Tyson Fury. I think overall his record is stronger. And I spoke to Dino and Shaban about this on Friday. And the one thing I think we all agreed on, we would all tune in. It probably is 10 years too late, but at least they've aged together. Do you know what I mean? So it's not like one of them's coming in with a huge great advantage. They both aged together. So, yeah, Cass, would it be a fight you tuned in to watch if it was on?
I don't know.
Really?
At the moment, I say that because if they're both in great condition and look like they're really up for putting on some sort of fight, yes, absolutely. I'm just not so sure. I mean, AJ getting knocked down twice yesterday, and yes, okay, he ends up winning it within, 2 rounds. It feels like they're a long way off. And Tyson fought a 46-year-old in his fight. You know, they're not proper fights.
I'd watch. Katie, would you watch it?
I would 100% watch it. I mean, we've been waiting for ages.
Yeah.
Yeah, if they're both in good nick and feel like they're much closer to being at their peak, I would go, yeah, absolutely.
It's two great British fighters going head to head. We've been talking about it for ages. I'm absolutely would tune in.
Yeah.
I think you would.
Let's hope it happens.
Yeah, let's hope it happens. How about the Formula One Hungarian Grand Prix today, Steve-O?
Yeah, poor Lewis Hamilton, who was looking good after qualifying on Saturday, or practice on Saturday, but then didn't get pole and had his penalty. Lando Norris has pole, the reigning world champion, of course, 6-4. Charles Leclerc in the Ferrari 5-2, ahead of Lewis in the other Ferrari 7-2. And the championship leader, Kimi Antonelli, don't write him off. I think he's in 7th place, but we know how good if he can get going. He's 5-1. So that's really good. We got darts, the world match play, which seems to be going on for some time. But, I mean, look, Luke Littler, what can we say about him? He's just extraordinary. He's rewriting the record books of this. He's 11-1 on. But Gerwyn Price, I think, is the man that all throughout this has looked like the most likely rival for Luke in the final 11-2. And Gerwyn Price is Wales's #1 darts player. Johnny Clayton is Wales's second darts player. Dean Saunders is actually, by virtue of his 3 talkSPORT championships, is actually the 3rd highest ranked darts player in
Let's
Wales.
not tell him that.
That's extraordinary.
That is hilarious.
What about yesterday? The reaction to King George and Ascot yesterday, David?
Yeah, it's a brilliant day. We heard from Rupert earlier, obviously. The King George, it was billed as an absolute cracker, and so it proved. Albeit the Japanese horse is disappointed, which was a shame, because we want to see the Japanese come back and try and win this. But Kalpana, the mare, trained by Andrew Balding, famous racing family, obviously, as Rupert said. She was second in the race last year, beaten by Calandagan then. She came out yesterday, though, and reversed those placings. Absolutely emotional scenes. She's now 8-1 for the King George and the Ark, are the 2 great 1.5 mile championship races in Europe over the season. And October, Longchamp in Paris, Kalpana is an 8-1 shot for that. And then we all head down to Goodwood, of course, which, again, we heard Rupert saying some terrific duels in prospect. Scandinavia versus Trawlerman in the Goodwood Cup on day 1. Bo Echo versus Gestard and Opera Ballo in the Sussex Stakes on the Wednesday. And Rupert told the story how he got wet last year.
That made me laugh. I was trying to think, how did Dex shield them with this probably massive brolly?
So we have a coral box just along from the commentary box. We could look down on them and we could see poor Rupert getting... Now, Rupert, bless him, he's not the smartest gentleman at the best of times because he wears dead relatives' clothes. They don't always... He looks a bit bedraggled at the best of times. He came in after this, being caught in this downpour, and we took pity on him. He literally came in, took his socks off and rinsed his socks out, had a cup of tea, and then we kicked him out again.
I was going to say, you didn't think, Rupert, come on in, take some shelter. No, let him suffer out there in the rain.
Sounds like Rupert's had a curse put on him.
Not as much as Mayo.
Hey, come on, Mayo, today. Come on.
Before, Steve-O, we let you go, Paul has very kindly told us all about Gaelic football and the point-scoring system. I know this will be worrying you all day, Steve-O. So he says that Gaelic football uses a unique 2-tier scoring system, combining goals and points. A goal is worth 3 points, like you said, ball into the net, and a point is worth 1 point. Ball goes over the crossbar.
Yeah, so it's like the rugby.
Posts.
If it goes over the rugby part where the rugby players kick the ball, that's a point, and 3 points is for the goal.
And then
Which has a
total
net.
scores are written as
Yes.
a like a calculation of basically both values. Does that all make sense?
Yes, sort of.
Yeah.
It's quite complicated, but to Irish people that love Gaelic football, that is for them. It's easy to understand.
Yeah. Paul goes best sport in the world, so I think we need to maybe. Yeah.
Oh, it's great viewing.
Yeah.
I was looking at previous finals. That's what I couldn't understand, because last year the score is Kerry 2, Dublin 18, but Kerry 1. That's why I couldn't understand. Anyway, I'm not. Paul, thank you, but I know about as much of this as I do poker.
Steve-O, have a great day. Thank you so much
Cheers,
for coming on
guys.
the show this morning. Steve always makes me laugh. Right, coming up next, we're going to be discussing AJ's knockout victory over in Jeddah last night. This is Weekend Sports Breakfast on talkSPORT. Keep those texts and calls coming in, 81089.
The Coral Daily Download on talkSPORT. Brought to you by Coral, the home of the free-to-play Golden Rewards Shaker. 18 plus max 1 reward per player per selected Shaker day. 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Restrictions and T's and C's apply. Gambleaware.org.
Let's just say something about Tottenham here. It's a big conversation because obviously it's about trophy wins, European Cups, all of those sort of things come into it. But in the modern world, it also comes down to support base. Money is so much involved, and Spurs are a big club, full stop. Of course, we're above someone like West Ham. We have got more support.
He had you above West Ham.
Globally. Well, I know, but he was almost fighting with that. You could also look at a support point of view globally. We would make Chelsea look tiny. They have had more recent success. Facts, they've had more success. But we also got to think about Tottenham history. First team to do a domestic double. First team to win the European Cup. We have history that can't be ignored in the same way that like
Sorry,
Aston Villa.
without being pedantic, people will be shouting at the radio, European Cup, not the European Cup.
A European Cup, yes, apologies.
That's all right.
And so I think that history is important. It really, really is. And I don't want to sound like some banging on about the past. We know what we've been. I'm a realistic Tottenham fan. I've seen it. Arsenal are a big club. Hate saying it, they're a big club. Bigger than us. I've got to say that as well, and that's going to upset people.
Rich, could you do me a favour then? You rate them 1 to 4 first.
It'll have to be Arsenal.
Okay.
Gives me the up, but there you go.
Then who?
And you're not. It's controversial.
try sometimes, well, you might find you get what you need.
Good morning. You're listening to Weekend Sports Breakfast. Me, Katie Shanahan, alongside Tony Cascarino. This is the one you wanted, Cass?
Yeah, there's a few Stones. I would like Miss You by the Rolling Stones as well.
Okay, we can't just play music all morning, Cass.
Give me Shelter.
Yeah, that's a good show.
Yeah, do you not like this?
I do. I mean, look, they've got such a back catalogue. He was out there at the World Cup, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was at a few games, yeah.
He was almost the star of the show as you.
Yes, maybe, yes.
Do you think he paid for his tickets?
No.
Probably not. So you can probably hear the dulcet tones of Henry Winter. Hello, good morning. So how was the World Cup for you?
Well, I mean, Mick Jagger, I mean, he wasn't the most important Stones out there, because I thought John Stones was just... you would have talked to him out there. He was really emotional. And we tend to forget that sort of footballers, we tend to sort of box them off, are they robots? And John Stones was very emotional before the England-France game, the bronze playoff, which everyone sort of slagged off, but it was actually one of the funniest games I've ever attended.
I was one of my highlights, because we're working at 6 in the morning, Henry. I'm watching it and thinking, as it started, I think, this is going to be hard without falling asleep, because it's a bluff. I'm watching it, and I've actually come away and thought, that was the best game I saw.
Yeah, but there was
as bonkers as it was.
It was bonkers, but there was serious stuff in there, because I think it was almost the players going out and sending a message. Actually, all this Tuchel DNA stuff, actually, we are quite good.
Yeah.
And playing against the team who a lot of people thought would be the team of the tournament. Obviously, France woke up in the second half. Deschamps got into them. And it was also good that Deschamps went off on a note where there was an element of positivity. And what was really nice is that the French journalists, the guy from L'Equipe, Vincent Deluc, actually said a few words at the end of the press conference to Deschamps saying, thank you so much.
That's nice.
For what it was really nice. Yeah. And Deschamps
Can you boys start doing that with England then?
Well, unfortunately, it comes around
Did
so
you not
often.
do that to Gareth?
I think there was... Well, Gareth was... obviously,
you had
the contract
respect
went
for
on
Gareth.
to huge respect. I'm effectively working for him now in his sort of podcast empire. But his contract was running until December, so it wasn't an obvious cut-off. But anyway, no, it was. I mean, I saw you out there. You look like you were working very hard.
Very hard. I had an amazing time.
Ronaldo interview nailed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cristiano Ronaldo, Erling Haaland from day one, and then became best of friends.
Then she's ended up with me.
Yeah.
Now we guess.
Exactly. Well, we all work our way up through the pyramid. Just sort of very quickly on what we're doing. We've got some World Cup reflections, the shape of the World Cup in 2030, which will be my 11th, Sean's, my co-host Sean Custis. It'll be his 9th. And then we've got Steve Crompton from the Manchester United, big Manchester United fan, talking about this very vexed, ill-handled by the club situation of season tickets and revoking them, which is just, I mean, there is an issue with touting, but this is so heavy-handed, aggressive, and we want to get to the bottom of that. Right. And then obviously reflections on AJ from last night.
Yes, which we'll be getting to very shortly. Right, that's Sunday Edition coming up in 25 minutes' time. Henry Winter, thank you very much. After Sunday Edition, you've got the warm-up, which follows that at 11 a.m. with Sam Ellard and Mike McLean. Then it's Sunday Session at 1 p.m. with Hugh Woozencroft and Mickey Gray for you, before kick-off with Majestic and Alan Pardew at 4 p.m. Then at 7 p.m, our Commonwealth Games coverage continues with Natalie Sawyer and the team bringing you all the latest action live from Glasgow. While over on talkSPORT 2, it's the final of the World Match Play Darts between Luke Littler and Gerwyn Price. That's at Winter Gardens in Blackpool. So you've got plenty of sport to keep yourselves entertained. So just keep it talkSPORT. Right, now, as promised, it was a big night for boxing yesterday as Anthony Joshua knocked out Christian Prenga in the second round. It was a shaky start for AJ as he was knocked down twice in round one. AJ was fighting for the first time since surviving the December car crash in Nigeria that claimed the lives of two of his very close friends. Eddie Hearn spoke in the ring to DAZN after the fight and said that AJ needed boxing to get through this year.
Tonight is all about the strength that he showed to even be here tonight, and the strength that he had to show in that fight. You know, I mean, no one can imagine what he's been through this last 7 months. In fact, during that first round, I was thinking, we come back too soon. No, but seriously, like, the way that he come back, but I said in the build-up to this fight, I feel like boxing once saved him, and he needed boxing, like, to help him get through this. And that camp allowed him to focus his mind while he was facing so much grief and pain.
Well, joining us now for more on this is talkSPORT's boxing pundit Gareth A. Davis. Good morning, Gareth.
Hi, Gareth.
Good morning, gorgeous, and good morning, Katie.
Very good indeed. Now, what do we make of the fight last night? Obviously, Eddie Hearn speaking there about all the adversity that AJ has had to face over this last year. How do you think he got on last night?
Well, I thought he was out on his feet and the end of his career was beckoning really a few seconds away in that first round. It was catastrophic for him, and that £100 million that he potentially will be earning for fighting Tyson Fury in the Battle of Britain looked just gone as a rank outsider, really, and Christian Prenga stood over him and really looking at one of the greatest heavyweight shocks you've ever seen, because this was supposed to be a run out, and what we got was 2 crazy rounds. And, you know, whatever Eddie Hearn was saying there, I think he's still papering over the cracks, notwithstanding the fact that Anthony Joshua has been through an extraordinarily difficult personal and emotional period in his life. I think he's papering over the cracks there of what has Anthony Joshua actually got left physically in a ring, because he really didn't look good in that first round.
Do you agree with Paul Smith that maybe AJ went into the ring too soon?
I don't know if it's too soon. I mean, I think the clock's ticking anyway. The timer on his career is running out. I mean, we're getting the Fury-Joshua fight probably 6 years, 7 years after they were probably in their prime. So we're getting it very late in their careers. It's going to be a battle of who's got most left. I mean, I think we saw that. People may not agree with me, but on Friday night in Pattaya, Thailand, I thought Tyson Fury looked very slow and old against a 46-year-old Marius Wack. Different kind of fight. But I think I don't really agree with Paul that he's come back too soon. I just think these guys don't have a lot left. And Anthony Joshua's always had a very vulnerable chin. And Prenga exploited it last night, but he couldn't exploit it for one more punch, and this could have all been over.
Well, I've got to be honest, Gareth. I think you've spoken there really candidly, brutally honest, and I think that's a really fair reflection of what's happened this week to Tyson Fury and AJ, because they seem a long way. Look, I didn't see, not like many others, didn't see Tyson Fury's fight, but AJ and Tyson feels like they're coming together and they're nowhere near what they were once.
No, exactly. Well, we're getting the fight very late in their careers. I mean, if you think about it, if they've been on the same parabola, the same trajectory for almost a decade, and when you look at what they both achieved extraordinarily, bringing stadium fights in the heavyweight division, being the kings of the division, Tyson Fury having 2 fights with Alexander Usyk, who was also there last night. He's a colleague and friend now with Anthony Joshua, who he beat twice as well. When you think they've dominated the heavyweight scene as figures in massive fights for a decade, and they never managed to get with each other in the ring. It's very, very late. I still want to see them fight, don't get me wrong. But as I say, I think it's going to be a battle of who's got most left.
Gareth, do you think in any way that might have affected the fans that would want to go, what's happened this week, and not having the sort of being that eager to go and watch this fight? Well, years gone by, this would have been an absolute sellout, no problem. Do you still think that's the case, that fans will still go there in their hordes to go and watch this?
I think you could have sold this fight out 4 times over at Wembley 4, 5, maybe 6 years ago. No, I think people will still vote with their feet and their money and go. I think it'll end up in America. At the moment, that's where it looks like it's headed. Probably the East Coast, probably Madison Square Garden, New York. That's the talk at the moment. Las Vegas was being considered. I think Wembley's a very dangerous place to go to in November purely because of the weather. But I think, Tony, there's always going to be a curiosity about, there's always been a debate about who'd win it. I've always thought that Tyson Fury would outbox Anthony Joshua, potentially even stop him. But I think he probably does stop him. On Friday night, I thought, wow, Tyson Fury looks quite aged. I think Anthony Joshua's got a much better chance against him. And then after last night, or a few hours ago as it is really, I really think Tyson Fury's going to either beat AJ on points or stop him in the mid-rounds.
That's the thing. Tyson Fury didn't make an appearance last night, did he? But what will he be thinking after watching that?
Well, some of his team, Katie, were there. Spencer Brown, his manager, made the 6-hour flight from Thailand to Saudi Arabia, to Jeddah, where it was. He'll be looking at it. I'm surprised he hasn't been on social media already this morning calling him a big sausage or whatever he called him. I think it will come later today. And he'll probably be mocking him about nearly ruining the chances of. He certainly will have been thinking, "Wow, we got close." They're supposed to be earning 100 million each in the region. We understand anyway. We're earning in the region of 100 million each for this fight, and he'd have been sitting there thinking, "There's 100 million sliding down the drain here," but maybe at the same time thinking, "I like the look of this."
So from what you've seen over the last couple of days, do you worry that there might be a legitimacy issue about any possible Fury against Joshua fight now, bearing in mind their relative conditions?
Well, legitimacy is a very good word. I mean, this is the boxing world, so if it works with hype and promotion, it will. It is the Battle of Britain still. They're both two aged fighters, as we've discussed. There won't be a world title on the line. It doesn't need one. It's the championship of each other. But I don't think, I mean, if you rank them in the world at the moment, I think AJ on that performance doesn't even get in the top 10 in the heavyweight division. And I think there's 3 or 4 guys out there that will beat Tyson Fury now. I think Mo Zitama, who fights Filip Hrgovic on August the 29th in London, would probably best both of them. Daniel Dubois is a challenge. Obviously, he's beaten Joshua already. I think Ajit Kabayel, even maybe Alexander Usyk himself, even though he's given up the belts. I think there's always a legitimacy about them fighting because it bookends an era. But it's, as I say, I can't think of anything more than it's going to be a battle of who's got the most left, and I think it's Tyson Fury.
Yeah.
In the other fights, Britain came out on top with wins from Kelly and Shiraz, but I suppose neither looked that convincing, Gareth.
Well, I mean, I think Josh Kelly was in difficult fights against Kiev, Colin Agarko. He was undefeated coming into that, so he put up a great battle. Kelly, I think, maintains his position, maybe ranked 4 or 5 in the light middleweight division. I think that Kelly is not going to be a match for the great Boots Ennis, who is the number 1 in the 154-pound division right now. And Hamza Shiraz, I was expecting to put away as a German opponent and couldn't do it on the night. So all round, 3 victories for Brits, but, I'm not with flying colours.
No.
Yeah. Gareth, thank you so much for your time this morning.
You are welcome.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day. Appreciate you coming on the programme. talkSPORT's boxing reporter Gareth A. Davis there. You are listening to Weekend Sports Breakfast with Katie and Cass this morning. Up next, get this, the Dallas Cowboy himself, Alex Crook, who I actually saw in Texas, will be joining us to talk all things transfer. Good morning. good morning. You are listening to Weekend Sports Breakfast with me, Katie Shanahan, alongside a very happy Tony Cascarino, because we're finally playing this song that you've been asking for this morning.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, such a good song.
Just-
This is Don't Stop Me Now by
Yeah,
Queen, of course.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yes. Here are some of the headlines you're waking up to this Sunday morning. Nigerian forward Esther Okoronkwo has alleged that $700 was stolen from her wallet while Nigeria's squad were preparing for the 2026 Women's Africa Cup of Nations in Casablanca, Morocco. And Lando Norris secured pole position in qualifying, while Lewis Hamilton faces a grid penalty ahead of that race. Now, Cass, we've been talking about curses after your amazing story. We've had a text from Ryan saying that Birmingham City's St Andrew's ground had a curse put on it, which meant they wouldn't win anything for ages. In terms of this Birmingham curse, Ron Saunders, an earlier City manager, reportedly had crucifixes placed on the floodlights in each corner and/or crosses marked in dressing rooms and on players' boots as part of an attempt to ward off the supposed curse.
Yeah.
That sounds a bit more extreme than your one, but,
Well,
but hey,
yeah,
the curse may actually be lifted if Mayo win today.
If Mayo win the All Ireland today, I think it's 3:30 this afternoon, and great opportunity in Dublin. A lot of anticipation around the game because of the curse. And Kerry have won numerous times, as we heard earlier. You know, chatted about Kerry winning regularly, beating Mayo a few times along the way. So hopefully Mayo, from 1951 till now, can win an All Ireland again.
We'll be speaking to Alex Crook very shortly all about transfer news and rumours. If you're just joining us, Arsenal are currently exploring a potential deal for Brazil and Real Madrid forward Vinicius Junior. We've been speaking about this a lot this morning because a number of the back pages are talking about it. I mean, how good a fit would that be for Arsenal if they do get this over the line?
Well, I always look at transfers and how much the player's got the appetite to go. Now, because things can happen and players might not take as much if they really have their heart on that dream of going to play for that club. That's why I reference Klinsmann going to Tottenham, because he really wanted to join Tottenham when he left Inter Milan. And likewise, Bergkamp. Bergkamp left Italy to come and play for Arsenal. It was a massive coup at the time. You know, Dennis Bergkamp going from, Inter to Arsenal. What a coup that was. No, and they wanted it. So the players can make it happen. Let's remember as well, Vinicius Junior would have earned a hell of a lot of money already. So he's going to get well paid wherever he goes. Does he need to get the crown jewels of who's the highest bidder? Well, then go to Saudi Arabia if you want that. But I think at 26, you want to be playing Champions League. You want to be playing, the highest level of football, which is in Europe.
Yeah, I'd love to see him in the Premier League. You want the big stars in the Premier League, don't you? Okay, so Alex Crook, our chief football correspondent, has very kindly rolled out of bed and joined us on the airways. Crookie, last time I saw you, it was in Texas. How you doing?
I'm good. That seems a long time ago, doesn't it? It wasn't that long ago.
Was it
I don't think I
did. A burger store called Texas, was it?
Every time I saw Crookie, he was wearing one of those cowboy hats. I'm surprised he's not wearing one now. Let's talk about transfers, shall we? What's the latest on Vinny Jr.?
Yeah, this is a fascinating story that started to develop really early yesterday. Arsenal adding Vinicius Junior at Real Madrid to their list of potential targets. I think there's a lot of work to be done on this deal. We know he's on huge money at Real Madrid. They demand a significant transfer fee. But it's interesting that he shares the same agent as one Yan Diamonde. We're expecting at talkSPORT Diamonde to become a Real Madrid player in the not too distant future. That deal could even accelerate as early as today. If it does, the question arises, I think, how do both Vinicius Junior and Diamonde fit themselves into the same team? And then you've got this contract situation. Talks have been on and off for several months. If he doesn't sign, and there might be some pressure on Real Madrid to sell him this summer. What a coup it would be for Arsenal. What a player to bring to the Premier League.
I was going to say, it really feels everything's gone Galactico, hasn't it? All the biggest names or potential great names further down the line, Alex, seems to be up for grabs this summer.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't see a situation where Real Madrid would consider cashing in on Vinicius Junior, but it does seem that could be the direction of travel. I don't think him and Kylian Mbappe have ever really seen eye to eye, and I think there is a school of thought in Spain that maybe having those two massive egos in the same team played a part in Real Madrid's downfall because, of course, they didn't win any silverware last season. Jose Mourinho was in there to try and restore order if you like. But yeah, it shows the draw of the Premier League. Bit disappointed that Diamonde is going to go to Real Madrid and not to one of our clubs. We know that your beloved Liverpool showed a lot of interest early in the window, but I think the fee that Leipzig are demanding just got too high for them. And obviously we've lost Mo Salah from the Premier League as well. Looks like he might be off to Turkey. So we need a little bit of stardust, I think.
On to Chelsea, because Pedro Neto, I believe, is reportedly on Man City's shortlist of potential wing targets. How much business do you think Man City need to make in this window to kind of get back to their best?
Well, they've got Elliot Anderson through the door already in what was then a British record fee. Obviously been eclipsed by Morgan Rogers' move from Aston Villa to Chelsea. They're still in for Bouadi at Lille, the teenage Moroccan midfielder who had a really good World Cup. So if that happens, it raises question marks, I think, about the future of Rodri, who's pushing now for this move to Real Madrid. He's going to miss the start of the season anyway with a back issue. But obviously Enzo Maresca is going to want to make his own mark. They've lost John Stones. They've lost Bernardo Silva, two mainstays of the Pep Guardiola era. I don't think Chelsea have a desire to sell Pedro Neto. I can understand why he's on Manchester City's radar. Obviously, he has that relationship with Maresca. But I think he's one of the players that Chelsea ideally are looking to keep. Although if you look at the model, every player has their price, so never say never.
What about Guimaraes? Bruno Guimaraes from Newcastle to Arsenal. Is that still a possibility, Alex?
I think it's a strong possibility, Tony, and I've got a bit of stick for Newcastle fans for even discussing this story. They've had a tough summer already, haven't they? Losing Anthony Gordon and Sandro Tonali. There's interest in Lewis Hall and Tino Livramento. But Bruno Guimaraes, as I understand it, came to the hierarchy there towards the back end of last season and said if an opportunity arose to join a bigger club in England, then he would like to explore it. Obviously, Arsenal, as the champions, fit that billing. I think it comes down to what price they're willing to pay. Talk of £100 million bounty on his head, I think, is probably fanciful when you look at the fact he's just about to turn 29. Sandro Tonali is 2 or 3 years younger, which is why they got such a big deal for him. I still think £80 million would give Newcastle a decision to make.
What other transfers can people keep across this morning?
Well, I think I saw some statistics. It's been the quietest July in terms of signings that we've had for several years. Now, there's obviously a big reason for that in the form of the World Cup. But I do think it's going to ramp up now. Manchester United looking for a midfielder. Keep an eye on Kone, the French boy who was a bit of a surprise package at the World Cup. I think he ticks a lot of the boxes in terms of that mobility United are looking to add to their midfield. I think Liverpool need some reinforcements, Tony, don't they? I'm reading that Joe Gomez was injured overnight and they ended a friendly with two 18-year-olds at the heart of their defence.
Yeah, I mean, Joe's been there quite a number of years now. He's been a bit part player, certainly, in the last few years. They have brought a couple of youngsters we talked about earlier. That'd be exciting for Liverpool. And lost experience, haven't they? With Andy Robertson going and Salah going. They've lost a little bit of experience there. So there's work to be done. But I do, as you know, Iraola has done an amazing job at Bournemouth. And I'd like to think that he'll have a big impact at Anfield with the type of players he brings in.
Yeah, just on Bournemouth, it's worth reiterating because 2 or 3 of their players are on the radar of bigger clubs as well. Alex Scott, we talked a lot about him this summer. Junior Krupi, who scored so many goals as a teenager last season. And Tyler Adams has been linked with Manchester United as well for 35 million. I'm told that wouldn't be nowhere near enough to get Tyler Adams. And their stance is quite clear, Bournemouth. Bill Foley, the owner, is determined to keep hold of their crown jewels. They've got their first ever European campaign ahead of them. They don't want to sell any of that trio that I've just mentioned.
Crookie, thanks so much for your time this morning. When are you back on the airwaves? As if you're ever off them?
Yeah, I'm sure I'll be popping up next week, but I've got a few days of glorious Goodwood, and then I'm back in the hosting chair 10 till 1 on Friday.
Oh, lovely stuff. Well, great to have you on the programme this morning. Crookie there, talkSPORT's chief football correspondent, bringing us up to date with all of the transfers. That is it from me and Cass this morning. You're going to say something?
A really good time. Great
weekend.
weekend.
A lovely weekend together, haven't we? Shaban will be back with you next week. Up next, you've got Sunday Edition with Sean Costas and Henry Winter. Have a lovely day, everyone.
Chelsea can't win a league. If Arsenal don't win it, I think Chelsea, with Xabi Alonso, Chelsea need to be one of the teams dreaming. One of the teams, look, a front line of Pedro,
Esteval, Palmer, Rodgers is capable of scoring enough goals to win the league. If we now bring in Lacroix, bring in John Stones, sign a new goalkeeper, all of a sudden you're looking at a team with one game to play a week. You're looking at a team that could potentially win a league title.
Mate, you're talking guff.
No, that's not. That's
you're not
very rational chap.
Rory, you're not winning the league.
We are unlikely to win it, but we are one of the 5 teams that can legitimately be considered capable of winning it.
No, you're not.
We are 100%.
No, you're not.
No, you're just a biased Tottenham fan.
No, you are not in the conversation to win the league.
We are.
You are. Let's get Champions League. That's your aim.
That's the